Hey everybody, welcome back to Indicted TV. I'm your host Negra. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. Quick shout out to my sponsors, Royalty Honey. Keep it hard, guys. And if you don't want to be on my channel and you want to stay home, make sure you hire Attorney Rosenberg. On today's episode, we have Boxer.
Yeah.
Boxer. Welcome to Indicted TV.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
I know. I'm excited to hear your story. So tell me, where are you from? And obviously, I don't mean the gang. Where'd you grow up? Mom, dad, brothers. Tell me about the inside of your house.
Oh, okay. So I come from a typical middle class family with my mother and my father. I had 3 siblings. They were from my mother's prior marriage. I never considered them half sisters, though. I've always just known them as my sisters. But I am the only child with my father. For the first 4 years of my life, I grew up in the Cypress Park area.
That's close to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy, though, because I only lived there for 4 years, and I know most people probably wouldn't remember anything at that age, but I do. I do remember. I mean, there was...
And you were how old?
I could remember like 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I could say 4 years old, because by the time I was 5 years old, I had moved to the city of La Puente.
Okay.
And my mother and father, they were both real hard workers. My mother worked in a warehouse, shipping, receiving type of thing for a lot of years. My father worked in a steel mill, working with steel, obviously, for
hard work.
Yeah, and he was working there my whole life. You know, he retired, I believe, after like 40 years. He retired, and so my mother and father were very, very much the picture of hard workers. And
were your parents born here in the United States, or were they born in Mexico?
Both my parents were born in East LA.
So Chicano.
General Hospital. Yeah.
Nice.
And my sisters were born there as well. And from Cypress Park, my sisters were getting involved in the neighborhood thing. I had cousins that were from there, and there was a lot of gang activity very early in my life, And
around what year was this? Just so we could get like a little visual of the time.
This was like 73, St. 4, St. 5, 76.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then 77 is when we moved to La Puente. And my parents moved us to La Puente. I had an aunt that lived over there in that city, so they were like, "Yeah, it's beautiful over here. You should come over here, bring the kids, get them away from, that LA stuff that's going on over there."
It's only like 15 minutes away. Hey, but really quick, side note. Like before in time, like even when you were younger, even for me, like I feel like, okay, we're in LA and we're gonna drive to like San Gabriel Valley. I feel like it was like so far.
Yeah, it did. It did. It used to feel like that.
It's not.
Yeah, it really wasn't that. Now it's not that far. I mean, driving from
every day we'll do it.
Yeah. It's not that big of a thing. But as a young kid, it was a distance. You know what I mean? Yeah, and because I had a lot of friends, even at that age, I still already had friends that I was missing when we moved. And when my parents moved us out there, they were, later on I found out they moved us away from LA to get my sister specifically away from all that gang stuff. You know what I mean? Because like I said, at 4 years old, Negra, not even joking, God's my witness. I still remember like it was yesterday seeing the first person get killed on our steps. We lived right.
When you moved to La Puente?
No. This was in LA. This is Cypress Park.
Okay.
We lived right behind Nightingale on Isabel.
I know exactly where that is.
And we lived up on the hills. There's like 3 houses on this hill where we lived, and the garage is on the bottom, then the street, right? The houses are above the garages.
Yes.
And there was like one house here on one layer, then you walk up a little bit of stairs, and there's another house, and way up on the top, there's an alley and another house up there. And we could oversee Dodger Stadium, downtown LA. Everything's right there, like right from my living room. And right from the living room, from the kitchen, I should say, you could see right down into the street, Isabel Street. And you could see the steps. And I saw somebody get killed right there. I didn't see him get killed, but I heard the gunshots, and I ran to the window, and there he was bleeding out. And I remember this. And I remember, these were like, I don't have a lot of memories.
Just like here, they come and they go, like little, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, but this specific memory, it stands out.
It's a big one.
And then also, I remember my brother-in-law. I mean, he was my sister's boyfriend at the time. He ended up being my brother-in-law. Sleepy from Cypress Park. That's my brother-in-law. And I remember back then they had all the PCP. That was the drug of choice, right? The Frios, yeah. And the cops had them. There was all kinds of cops. And I remember all the neighbors coming out and throwing bottles, like getting down like a little mini riot with the cops. And I remember this stuff. And I remember my mom getting us and saying, get away from the windows, come back and stuff. And I remember our house being shot up a couple of times during, like, I don't know if it was a birthday party. I don't know if it was a baptism, but it was a family gathering.
I'm sure in those years it was allowed to like just go and freaking shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, during that time, I mean, this was early 70s, mid 70s, I should say. And our house would be getting shot up.
So you guys moved.
So we moved to get away from all of that. And unfortunately, I guess my parents went and looked at this house in La Puente during a Sunday. It was nice and calm because unfortunately, they placed us right in the middle of like 6 other gangs, 6 other cliques.
So where exactly in La Puente did you move?
I was living in the east side.
I don't know. I just know like the streets maybe?
There's a lot of different streets, a lot of different cliques in La Puente. The side that I was on, I was more like in Barrio Puente, more the old side of Puente.
Okay.
And in my specific area...
Is it more on like the M-rder Sunset or on the other side?
No, way on the other side by the city hall.
Got it. By the high school.
Yeah, kind of that way.
Got it.
I mean, I lived off of like Valley and Ferrero.
Oh, okay. I know exactly where. Like the Valley area is on that side.
Yeah.
Sunset is on the other
so
side.
the more popular neighborhoods on that side would be like East Side Dukes, Townsman, East Side Puente, Dial Boulevard, Barrio Puente. Them are the cliques like on that side of town.
Okay.
And then we have a whole lot more by where you were saying Amar and Hacienda and all that. That's a whole lot of other cliques over on that side of town. But yeah, so we moved there in, I believe it was 76, 77. We moved there when I was, I had to be 4 going 5 because I went to preschool in La Puente.
Okay, so yeah, you were about 4.5.
4.5, almost 5, yeah.
Kindergarten is 5.
5, yeah. So yeah, I went through preschool and elementary there. And so when we got over there, my mom and dad were still working as always. My sisters, they picked up on that gang stuff right away.
That's how it goes.
It was like really quick. And for me, though, I was blessed to move there because there was so many kids. Right there in Isabel, I had a couple of friends, right? And but when I moved there to La Puente, I had probably 20 friends that all lived on the same street. My neighbors were my age, kids next door, my age. So you guys
were just playing outside, normal stuff.
So yeah, that's the way I grew up in them streets, playing baseball, kickball, dodgeball, tag, and everything. There was a couple of girls that were allowed to play with us, but mainly there was a lot of boys, all the same age, and then all of us had older brothers, older sisters, and they were all out on the streets too. And the older brothers, the teenage brothers at that time, because I was still only 5 years old, so all the 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-olds, they were more involved in the activity of the street.
It's how it was.
Yeah. So it became a real norm to me to be in the center of negativity, violence, that gang environment, the drug scene, a lot of beating down, a lot of fighting and stuff like that. Not a whole bunch of shootings, but there were shootings. Back then they were called bumper jacks, when people were getting hit with the crowbars from your cars and stuff and breaking the windows of cars and cocktailing. Like that was like the norm. Me growing up, that's what I seen.
Yeah, guns weren't really.
I mean, there were guns. There were guns.
It was more normal to fight.
Yeah, for sure, though, there was no Uzis, no AKs, no Mini 14s. There was none of that until my time.
Oh,
and we'll get to that. Because I remember as a young kid, I saw 30-30s. I saw sawed-off shotguns. I saw a lot of little 22 handguns and whatnot. I mean, I saw that, around the neighborhood, and switchblades and stuff like that, and chains. And that's the way I saw people fighting in the streets. And even though there would be people fighting and stuff, me and my friends, we were like on the sidelines still playing sports. Like, while that's going on, we're able to see it, but it's like, there they go again. You know what I mean? Let's just continue with our game. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, look what's happening. Or dang, he's bleeding. Or dang, he done.
Like ni en cuenta.
Yeah, it was like, get out of our way. We're trying to play in the street. You know what I mean?
Shit somewhere else.
Yeah. So growing up like that, seeing my sisters with the big old feathers, all the war, when I think of my sisters, it was that Duke of Earl scene. The white face, the black bands. And with the guys, it was the big khakis, the Ben Davises, the Pendletons, the white shirts, the Thongo hats and the Stacey Adams, the hush puppies, all that stuff. That's what I grew up with. That's what I was watching,
Yeah, you were 5, 6, 7. Yeah. They're older. Mm-hmm. And it's like the 80s already.
Yeah. Oh, early 80s. It was still sports. Sports, let's just get out of the way. Sports was all the way a part of my life. I just love sports. Me and my friends, that's what we did. We were break dancers during the early 80s.
Nice.
My homeboys, actually, they didn't really like it because we were playing that New York music. They were like, man, turn off that jungle music, this and that. And they would tell us things like that. And because of the way we dressed, we used to dress, like breakdancers and stuff. And they didn't really like that culture. But they didn't really like persecute us or nothing like that. But they were like, man, look at these little fools right here.
So what kind of music did they listen to?
Oh, the homies were listening to oldies. They were listening to, the Barcades. They were listening to One Way. They were listening to, the funk at that time, Confunction and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? That's what I remember. The oldies and like that early funk. So
let me ask you: at what age did you see yourself getting into trouble?
I was getting.
Like, when did it change?
Let me tell you this much, Negra. From 5 years old, kindergarten life, I was getting in trouble for Mickey Mouse stuff, though.
Obviously,
for breaking windows. We live right in. We live.
5?
Yeah, we live right on. There was just a lot of bad kids. There was just a lot of kids that just found trouble. You know what I mean?
Breaking windows at 5. Oh my goodness! If Cupid will break a damn window, that fool is going down.
And it wasn't just. And let me just clarify. We weren't just breaking windows just to break windows. Like, we had neighbors that would get at us and be like, "Stop picking my oranges," get off my yard or whatever. But like, all right, we'll see. Later on, we come back and break his windows.
But it's so crazy how like the mentality, though. You get what I'm saying? Like, now you see a 4 or 5-year-old, it's not really common.
Yeah.
Unless he's around.
Yeah. Oh, there are some baby kids. When I go to some neighborhood, there are some of them baby kids where I'll be like, hey, that little kid right there is a bad little kid.
The way I feel like, okay, for example, like I feel like if the kid's gonna be how it's gonna be, it's gonna, I see it's gonna be that way. But it also has 100% to do with the mom and the dad.
See, a lot of it does, but let me explain. Let me just share this portion of my story, though, and we'll see if we blame my mom and dad. Like I said, they're always at work.
Yeah.
So
you have your big sisters
that were doing their own thing. They were in drugs. They were already involved with the homies. You know what I mean? So they weren't paying attention to me. It was pretty much, I would literally wake myself up, eat a bowl of cereal, maybe eat some waffles or something, and then go to the corner, like just literally like right outside my house, like 2 houses down, we caught the school bus. The school bus would come. So all of us kids would be right there in the morning, clowning or whatever, would get on the bus. We literally got kicked off the school bus. That's another story. We got kicked off. We weren't even allowed on the school bus. They were like, no, because we would crawl under seats, pull, little girls by their feet and, just being bad little kids. And that's when we say bad, I'm just going to say that's what it was.
Yeah.
Breaking windows, spray painting stupid stuff on walls, a lot of vandalism. I was in a tagger. We would just write stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Like just to do
I understand.
You know why though? Because we saw the other homies spray painting the neighborhood on the ball, but we weren't from the neighborhood. We weren't represented. So we would just literally write our names or something. You know what I mean? Or sometimes if we knew that somebody liked somebody, we'd be like, yeah, Chubby loves such and such. You know what I mean? Maria or whatever.
Cute.
Just stupid little stuff. And then
the good days. Well,
they were good. Outside. They were good. They were fun days. I'll say that. But all of them things, they add up and they snowball into bigger and bigger things. When you start getting away with little things, eventually they gives you permission to do bigger things.
Most definitely, I agree.
And that's what I'm talking about. Being a bad kid at 5 years old, You know, and we would always fight in the streets with one another. Like, that's one thing about us. You know, some of our older brothers and stuff, they would like literally make us fight. You know what I mean? We'd set up like little boxing rings. Little kids would be going at it, like teaching us how to fight and stuff. And that was cool, you know. But we started like, I'm going to say probably like about third grade or whatever. I think that were the years where I started stealing. I had that little itch to steal stupid stuff, candy bars. You know what I mean? Back then there was this breath freshener called Banaka, and we used to use it like the way people used to use hairspray with a lighter and make like little fireballs. So us kids, we would steal these little mouthwashes and have a lighter and just to make. We were just little kids, just want to do stupid stuff. And then I think it was about that same time I started stealing cologne and started stealing jewelry and stuff. Like 4th grade, 5th grade for sure. I was already stealing. And what's crazy though is that I never had to steal because I always had money. My dad taught me how to work. Before we had all these gardeners, that was my job on my street. My dad bought me a push lawnmower, and I would cut my neighbor's grass for like $5 or whatever. He bought me a stencil kit from the hardware store and showed me how to paint the curbs, you know, the addresses numbers and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So I always had hustle as a young kid. You know, me and my friends, you know, we would do things like that. I even had one of my good homeboys' dads. We used to live by this Alpha Beta grocery store. It was called Alpha Beta. And every morning before they would throw the produce away that was left over from the day before, my homeboy's dad would go get all that produce. It would never go in the trash can. It would come like from the back door. They would hand it to him and he would load it. He would bring us like grapes and watermelons and all kinds of stuff. And we would go door to door and like sell fruit.
How cool is that?
Yeah. I mean, that was our hustle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we were young kids, but we always wanted stuff from the ice cream truck, especially during 4th of July. We wanted to buy fireworks. And so we always had a hustle. Me and my friends, we always had a hustle. You know, eventually we started stealing bikes and painting them, switching parts and selling them to eventually, you know, we started stealing cars. As, you know, by the time I was in 6th grade. And so I don't want to go too fast, but I was never good in school. You know what I mean? I would always go to school just to clown and play with my friends.
Because you had to go.
And I'm telling you, Negra, all these boys that grew up on my street, we were in the same classroom. So it was like same classroom, go home, play, go back the next day.
Do the same thing.
Same thing over and over. So we were so tight. I mean, we were very, very close, you know, homies, you know, growing up. And
those are your friends.
Yeah, and
like
that's and it's crazy how the neighborhood thing comes into effect, you know what I mean? Because I mean, so many times people think people join a gang out of so many reasons. You know, for me, it was more just a transition. It was like, these were all my friends. These were all my homies from the get-go. Of course, I'm willing to die for them. You know, of course, if somebody jumps on them, I'm going to jump in. Of course, if somebody hurts them, we're going to go and try to hurt someone back, you know?
I feel exactly the same way.
And growing up like that, it was, and you know what's a trip? It was I never thought of it like I'm a gang member. Like, these were just always my homies, and this is where we've always been from. And of course, you know, as we got older, things got more sophisticated. You know what I mean? We started recognizing more and more of our enemies. I mean, because as little kids, we never really left, you know, the 7 or 8 streets that surrounded our houses. You know, that's all we really were. Yeah, you know what I mean? We would ride our bikes right there, you know, and the only way we really started to recognize our enemies is by them coming to us. And as they came to us,
that's when you started like,
that's when we started like, who are these? What are they doing here? And then once our older brothers and sisters were fighting with them and they would tell us, yeah, they're from such and such street. They're from the other side of town. We're like, okay, so we don't like them fools because they came and jumped our brother. They came and tried to get down with our hometown.
Yes.
And as little kids, whenever that would happen, we're like, that's not a familiar face here. Mm-hmm. What's he doing over here? You know what I mean? Yeah. And next thing we know, the older guys are fighting with them. And eventually we're jumping in. Remember, we're in the streets playing baseball. We have bats. You know what I mean? We see what's going on. We start running to it. We don't even know why it's going down, but we knew that it wasn't one of our own.
For sure.
See, we had this rule, like, we were allowed to fight with one another and everything's cool. Like, go ahead. Mm-hmm. But when we seen somebody else that wasn't from, and like I said, we were so tight and we knew everybody. Whenever you came from somewhere else, you stood out like a sore thumb.
For sure. No, I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So growing up really young, that's the mentality. It wasn't, I didn't wake up one day and say, oh yeah, I want to be a gang member. I want to go kill people. I want to go hurt people or whatnot. It was a transition from playing baseball in the streets to helping our older brothers, older sisters and whatnot, to eventually we're on our bikes and we're like, yeah, they're over there on that side of town, the people that came, and we would make our way over there and handle business, right? And by the time I was in 6th grade, things changed. When I was in the 6th grade, I got kicked out of my school. I ended up getting into a fight with the vice principal. He grabbed me by my arm, was trying to manhandle me. Well, he was manhandling me at that age. I was probably like 75 pounds. He like dragging me to the office. I don't remember why he grabbed me, but he grabbed me and I started swinging back. And then like 2 of my other close friends, my neighbors, they jumped in, like tackled him. And I guess after they tackled him and we got on them, they ended up moving. And I was the only one that ended up getting expelled. At first, they suspended me, and I guess the school board, they ended up expelling me from the school district because they considered it that big of a deal. So I ended up going to a totally different school out of the school district where a lot of guys, like I said, now I'm out of my neighborhood. Now I'm in a whole different area.
Where did you go?
I went to a school called Chino. And when I went to that school, there was a lot of guys that didn't like our side of town. They didn't like, even though that school was still in La Puente, it was in a different clique neighborhood, different area. There was a few different neighborhoods on that side of town. And when they knew that I was from the other side, and at this time, in 7th grade, I wasn't like officially like banging my neighborhood all hard, but I was like, yeah, that's where I'm from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no way around that. That's where I grew up. That's where I'm from.
It is what it is.
And they still didn't like that. So I found myself fighting a lot, you know? And then eventually the 7th and 8th, and I had told my mom too, I had promised my mom, I'm going to do good for you this time. I promise you, I'm going to do good. And I went with them intentions to do good. And I was doing good. And, you know, talking to the girls and stuff, these dudes were hating on me, like, you know, because I didn't go to elementary and junior, like that first 6th grade over there on that side of town. So
I know what you
here I am, a brand new guy.
At a new school.
A new school. But a lot of them dudes knew that I was from that other side of town. They knew that this is the school I was coming from. They didn't like that school. And here I am now, you know what I mean? Earning more enemies just being
because,
there.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting and stuff. I got suspended a couple of times. I told my mom, you know, I kept on promising my mom, I'm going to do good, Mom, promise you. And I did good. I ended up 7th, 8th grade. I had a couple of fights or whatnot, but I didn't get kicked out of the school. I got suspended a couple of times, but I didn't get kicked out. And then in 9th grade, that's when things got a little bit more crazy. At this time, now I'm officially like really starting to claim my neighborhood. I'm banging it now. You know, I got my 3 dots on my hand already. It's official, you know. And so these guys, I got jumped while I was there. So I went to school with a butterfly knife. I ended up getting kicked out of that school, and they wanted to send me to continuation. Actually, they put me on probation.
Okay. So you never went to juvenile hall?
Up to this point, no, I was just in substation. I was arrested many a times for, like I said, for breaking into the train track. I mean, we weren't breaking into the trains, but we were playing on the trains. So, and back then, Negra, no joke, they would put me in the cop car and take me home. Knock on the door and tell my mom and dad, yeah, we caught him on the train tracks. Or we caught him stealing, you know what I mean? Like they would take me home so many times, and my dad would literally whip me right in front of the cops. I mean, it wasn't against the law back then for my dad to literally take his belt off and whip me.
He's working so hard for you to be okay, and this fool's over here just not caring.
Yeah, not caring. It wasn't so much not caring. It was just like. And I didn't think I was doing anything bad at that time with my friends. You know, I knew stealing was wrong. I knew breaking windows was wrong. I knew vandalism was wrong. I knew all of that stuff, but it was like everybody's doing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All my friends. I mean, there's so many of us. Like, in my head, I used to think they can't bust all of us. You know what I mean? Like, there's too many of us that are doing what we do. And so in 9th grade, though, I started going to this high school called Nogales. And like I said, I ended up getting jumped there from this neighborhood. And so I said, man, I'm taking I had a butterfly knife. You know what a butterfly knife is? Okay, so I had a butterfly knife. And there was this dude from 18th Street there that was with me. His name was Julian. And he was an outsider too. So
he comes from LA.
Yeah, so me and Julian were like, we were cool though. Me and Julian were like hella cool. And there was this other homie too. It's crazy because he was a Mexican, but he was a blood. But he was cool with me and Julian. So it was like us three against like the school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was funny though. So it was funny just because we were like the three amigos. We were always together, you know what I mean?
That's cool.
And Julian be like, yeah, if they jump out, I got you. You know what I mean? And I would tell him the same thing, like, I got you too. You know what I mean? So one day these dudes came up to me and I pulled out the knife, bam. And I was like, what's up, fool? Like, come on. And they didn't, like, they backed up. So I put it away, like, okay, you know what I mean? Maybe they got a little warning, like, stay away from me. So I didn't know, though, somebody went and told that I had this butterfly knife. So
they told on you for sure.
So yeah, they came and they searched me and they found it. So I ended up getting suspended. And at that time was when that was my first time being placed on probation. That ninth grade. How
did that work before? You just go to court and you just get on probation? Like, do you need a probation officer? Like, how does that work? Because obviously it's completely different now than I'm sure.
So what happened back then, if I remember correctly, they took me to the substation. They ended up taking me to the substation. They came and got me from the school. The sheriffs came. They took me to the station. They booked me for like possession. I don't know if it was possession of a weapon or whatnot. And then they called my mom. My mom came and got me. Next thing I know, my mom's telling me, yeah, we have to go to court. So when we went to court, they were telling me, they were threatening me with placement and stuff. Yeah, if I see you again in my thing, I'm gonna put you in placement, you know. And I was like, whatever. I didn't even know what placement was at that time. And then my probation officer was in Almani, so I went over there, talked to him, and he told me that I needed to show my report card. I started going to this probationary school. I started going to this school called COPE. It's Community Outreach Program and Education. And it's funny because there was only like 5 homeboys in that class. There was only like 5 homeboys and I think like 2 girls. And that was the whole class.
The whole school, yeah.
And our probation officer used to come to the school and pull us out of class and talk to us and then put us back in. And we used to have to do these packets. So I was like, okay, it was cool. I like that. It was cool. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't go back to that other high school because I got kicked out of that district before, right? So they put me there on that probationary school. And at this point in time, though, I ended up meeting them other homies that were there in that class. And they were from the other side by like where you said, Amar Hacienda side. It was Cadbrook Street. And the 3 homies that were in there and some homies that I grew up with on my side of town, they had went through La Puente High School and all that side of town. I wasn't able to go to that side of town because I got kicked out in the 6th grade. So anyways, they were there and stuff. So after school, we would go to this neighborhood called Cadbrook. You know what I mean? I wasn't familiar with that side of town yet. I'm still like on the east side. But here I am going to school over there, and now I'm hanging out. And come to find out, a lot of them homies are the same guys I used to play baseball with in the park and everything. And they, you know, they continue. So it was like a reuniting with a lot of my old friends a couple of years later. It was almost like 3 years later. So it was like 7th, 8th, and now here I was, the beginning of 9th grade. So I'm like reunited with a lot of my old friends. So we used to get out of school early. We got out of school like at 11:30 or something, like 12 o'clock. It wasn't like a full day of school. So we would go to La Puente High School, hang out there, wait for them to get out. And then other homies would hook up and then we would hang out in the neighborhood. And then it wasn't long until that side of town, the homies were like, hey, fool, like, because we have Puente and then we have a bunch of streets, a bunch of cliques. And at this time, I was just still claiming Puente, you know what I mean? Barrio Puente. And not even really Barrio Puente. Barrio Puente is like a whole different clique within itself. So it was like just claiming Puente 13, right? And at this time, my homies were like, hey, fool, you should get into Cadbrook. You know, that's where a lot of the guys that I grew up with were from. And
wait, let me ask you really quick. So you guys will claim your block instead of your hood?
Well, it's our hood and it's kind of like, we're from Puente, and when they say what part of Puente, well, then we'll say Cadbrook Street. You know what I mean? Okay. We'll say Dial, we'll say Ballista, we'll say, you know, whatever clique follows. When we're in Puente, though, you know, rolling around our streets, a lot of times when we see other homies or somebody we don't know, we would just yell at our clique, you know? But if we travel outside of our neighborhood, it's always Puente first, you know? And then, so anyways, I end up getting into this clique, and At this time in my life, this is ninth grade. I'm selling dope now. Remember I told you I was always hustling as a kid. And,
you have your sisters that are all like with it as well.
My sisters, they were doing their own thing. They weren't really, they had their older homegirls, homeboys and whatnot. And my clique was totally away from all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
And my clique was like, that was the spot at the time, 87, 88, 89. That's where like a lot of the cliques that got along, we would gather there and meet up. Them were the years during backyard parties, then flyer parties, the mini trucks and all that scene. And everybody would meet up there. Sometimes there would be, not even exaggerating, there would be like 80 homies just lined up on the streets, you know what I mean? And most of us were young, so we weren't driving. There was a couple of people driving, but not a lot of us. We were on bikes or walking and we used to walk through the streets like in groups of 30, 40 homies, back then that was like the thing, just to mob in the streets. And what happens is end up getting real involved in the neighborhood, and I'm staying away from home at the time. And all this time, my mom, she's aware of everything. Like I said, my mom, she grew up in the neighborhood. My mom grew up in Clover.
Okay.
My dad grew up in the projects in Aliso Village, with Meta Flats and all of that stuff. But, they're older now working and they're separated, but they're aware of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, they're at work early morning, late night. So I'm in the streets. I'm just like
running your own program.
Running my own program with everybody. And it wasn't like I would never come home. I would always come home. My mom was like, "Where were you at?" I was like, "Oh, I was over there, at the homie's pad or whatever. You hungry or whatever?" Like, yeah, you know what I mean? And this is ninth grade and we're out there though. And at this time, let me just like clarify, mid 80s, early 80s, there wasn't a lot of rules for neighborhoods. It was anything goes, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of drive-by shooting. There was a lot of home invasions. There was a lot of stuff happening. And there was a lot of drive-bys on my neighborhood. And, there was we were doing our part as well. You know what I mean? And at this time, Negra, I had experienced a tragedy within my home. I had a 4-year-old nephew that I was raising. His dad, my sister that's closest to me, she's about 4 years different than me. Her baby daddy was always in prison. So I had this nephew my sister lived with us. So my nephew lived with me. And this was like my little brother. Remember, it's just me being the boy and then my sisters. And I had a god brother too that it was like my brother Johnny. And that dude was very active in, I would say, like just organized crime. I'm talking about like crazy stuff. That was another role model for me, my older brother Johnny. And then, so anyways, this little boy, his name was Little Mondo. He was my everything, my everything. I would take this little boy with me to the neighborhood, from being in the carrier, this little boy was always with me. And then one day, me and my mom, we were painting our dining room. I was helping my mom early in the morning on a Saturday morning, and we got a call to rush to her apartment. So she had moved out and told us where she was at, and said that my nephew had been in an accident. He was outside in the little playground in the apartment complex, and there was a front door up against the trash can, and he hit the bottom of it, and it landed on his chest and gave him a heart attack. He ended up passing, and when he passed, Negra, my mentality went out the window. There was like a new evil birthed in me, a new hate. Like there was like, if anybody wants to accredit where there was a turning point in my life, it was at his death. At his death, when that happened, something just clicked in me where I didn't care no more. And I didn't like going home because my mom was always crying. My sister was crying. It was at Christmas time, so we still had gifts wrapped for him. It was his birthday that was coming up. And I remember my dad just started kicking the presents. And I didn't want to be there. I was like, heck no, I can't deal with this emotion. So I was in the neighborhood and I had all this like bottled in hurt, and I don't know why I hurt so bad. Like, I don't don't know why there was so much pain in my heart. I don't know if like I let them down or I don't know, like something to this day, I don't know what did this. But as I continue my story, I'll share a little bit more insight on what I credit a lot of that to, though. But so during that time, after that happened, I was staying out on the streets like a lot. Like I said, I didn't want to be home because it was so depressing at home. So I'm out on the streets, and the longer you stay out on the streets, the more trouble you're going to find.
For sure.
You know what I mean? We were out there, just gangbanging, doing our thing. And in 1989, prior to this, I had been arrested multiple times. Prior to 89, for stupid stuff. Like I said, dumb stuff.
Yes.
I can't even tell you how stupid of stuff. It was dumb stuff, you know what I mean? And it was crazy, though, and I always felt like I was above the law because every time I got busted, I would always get off, always put back on probation or always fined or something. And then in 89, January of 89, right after my 16th birthday, I'm in the garage with my homies early. Like I told you, we got out of school early, and I'm in there it's probably about like 12 o'clock, I would say. And there was probably like about 4 or 5 of us, and we're hanging out. And I was messing with this girl, and she had told me, yeah, I'll stop by the neighborhood after school. She was still in school. And I said, all right, so I'll wait for you there. So while I'm there waiting for her, my homies pull up in a stolen truck, and they're like, what's up, fool? I was like, damn, fool, like, you guys already been in this truck for like 2 days. This truck's hot, fool. Like, you guys need to, like, I had some crazy homies, man. These fools would treat G-Rides like they were their own, like vacuuming it, cleaning the windows. I'm like, come on, fools. Like, you got to get rid of these cars,
Yes.
So they roll up, and I'm right there with the homies, and they're like, hey, go with us to pick up these other girls from the high school that wasn't too far. It wasn't our school. It was a high school in our enemy's neighborhood, which was still in La Puente, but kind of on our enemy side, right? And I was like, nah, I'm good, fool. Like, you guys go. Like, I ain't messing with them bras. I'm waiting for my own, this own broad to come, I'm just chilling. And they're like, come on, fool, just roll with us. You know what I mean? We'll be right back. And I was like, man, let's go. I shouldn't have gone. I should have stood there and waited for this girl to come. You know what I mean? And there was other homies that were in the garage that could have went with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they wanted you, though.
They were like, come on, fool, just roll with us, right? So I was like, all right, let's go. So we're driving, everything's cool. We get there, and so the way it was set up, it was my homeboy Pee Wee that was driving. I was sitting shotgun, and my homie Danger was in the back seat because we were picking up his girl. When Danger came, Danger was in the front seat. I said, well, let's switch, fool. Your girl's going to get in the back seat with you. Let me just jump in shotgun right now. So we switched. So we're driving up, and as we're going, just normal conversation. At that time, I think Straight Outta Compton just came out. Easy, my homie like burned the hell out of this cassette, right? We had cassettes at that time, and he's just bumping it. Easy, we're rolling over there, and that was his favorite tape, man. I mean, for real. I used to want to get it and throw it out the window, but that's what was in at that time. That was that early gangster rap, right? Mm-hmm. So the homie's listening to it, and we're going, and we pull up into the school. And I'm like on lookout because this is our enemy's neighborhood. And I'm like looking like, if I see somebody, I might jump out on this fool. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Let me see who we catch slipping, And we're driving through, the bell rings, everybody's coming out. I guess these girls knew where to meet them. So they come out, they jump in the back seats, right? There's 2 girls. It's the one he's messing with and I guess her best friend. So we come out, we drive out. And instead of making a U-turn and going right back to our neighborhood, my homie was like, we're going out. And we're coming down this one street, and my homie's like, yeah, the other day we chased some fools right here. They ran into this house, and I was like, what house? And as we're driving, he says, that house right there with the garage door open. And I was like, oh, okay. So as we're driving, we get closer, the garage door is open, and there's a gang of fools in this garage. And he was like, damn, there they are right there. So as we pull up, I'm like hanging out the window, throwing up the neighborhood, like, what's up, fools? Like, this is Puente, blah, 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 like, F your neighborhood, blah, blah, blah.
And you don't even know which one it is.
Well, there's a whole bunch of them.
So you knew what neighborhood it was?
Oh, yeah, I knew what neighborhood it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm disrespecting their neighborhood and whatnot. And they start running out, and I guess they were fixing the driveway or something, like busting the driveway or whatever, because they had axe picks. They start picking up all this stuff, picking up bricks, running towards the truck. I tell my homie, like, jam, fool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, jam, these fools are about to axe me, right? So we're taking off, and right at the corner, my homeboy in the back starts telling me, hey, open the glove compartment. There's a gun in there. There was a big old 357 in there. And we're already gone. It's like the garage door, and we're driving. It's probably like maybe like 8 houses. We're at already like a T street. So we go and we're making a U-turn right there. I grab the gun, and my homeboy's like looking at me, and they're in the street. They're running in the street towards. They're throwing rocks and whatever. They're throwing stuff at us. And I told my homeboy, like, run them over. They're in the street. And the homie was right there. He was like, blast them. So I was just like, you know, I get out the car, and we're like pretty far, and I just start shooting, bah, 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 bah. Just like, and I'm still right there, like, I see them all. I see them all like falling on the floor and stuff, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, this puente, fools, you know what I mean? Jump back in the car, and we take off. And I tell them, take me to my pad. So they took me to my pad. And back then I thought we were street smarts and this and that. And we used to think that you could get rid of the gunpowder by urinating on your hands and putting bleach and all. So I go home, jump in the shower. I do all this stuff. I'm rubbing bleach all over my arms, my hands. You know, I jump in the shower, I throw all my clothes in the washing machine, and I get all rechanged and everything. And I told my homies, like, hey, get rid of the truck. Like, go. We had this little spot where we used to go and burn the trucks, like burn our G rides and stuff. So I told, go get rid of the car. So long story short, I go back to my neighborhood that evening. I'm asking the homies, hey, where's the homies at? They're like, they ain't been here since you guys left. I'm like, they ain't been back? Like, okay, like, where are they at? So my neighborhood, my specific clique is right by City of Industry Sheriff's Department. Like, we could probably throw a rock to that place, right? It's about 5 o'clock. Remember, that happened at 2:30, right after school, about 2:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30, whatever time school was out. Right as soon as we picked them up, it happened right away. It's already like 6 o'clock now. It's January. It's already dark. We start seeing all the cops flying right by our neighborhood, and they're flying. And I tell the homies, I'm like, dang, something happened. Like, turn on the scanner, man. Turn on, like, we had police scanners. Turn on the scanners, and we're listening and stuff, and nothing's coming up. And then next thing I know, like a little bit after that happens, my homeboy that was driving runs back. He's all sweaty, and I'm like, what happened? He said they got my other homeboy that was in the back seat, my homeboy Danger.
Yeah.
And I was like, tell me the girls weren't in the car still. Tell me they weren't in the car. Like, please tell me they weren't in the car. And one of them was in the car still, and I was like, shoot, you know, and
it was all bad.
In my head, it's all bad. You know what I mean? I figured I could trust my homies, you know, to the hubcaps fall off till death. These are my homies, you know what I mean? They already know the get down, you know? But the girl, though, you know, she's not from the neighborhood. She don't know no better, you know what I mean? She's going to tell them everything about what happened earlier. I'm like pissed off. I'm like, dang, fool. Like 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They should have been done got rid of this car. You know, I don't know if they were joyride. I don't know if they ended up parking at the girl's house hanging out, and now they were trying to leave in it. To this day, I didn't even want to question it no more. You know what I'm saying? But homie ended up getting caught. I go home. I'm like, dang, you know, what should I do? Should I run? What should I do? I go home, and I'm calling the homie. I'm calling the homie's house. You know what I mean? And his brother's like, yeah, my mom just went to pick him up from the police station. I was like, wait, they're letting them go? I was like, what did they get them for? What are they charging them for? And the brother's telling me, yeah, for a stolen car. And I was like, just a stolen car? I'm like, okay, things are cool. Like, that's it. So I said, hey, as soon as he gets home, tell him to call the pad. So when he got there, he called me. I said, what happened, fool? He said, yeah, they got me for GTA. Said, I got to go to court, you know what I mean, for the stolen car, for the stolen truck. And I was like, that's it? They didn't mention nothing about what happened earlier? He was like, nah, they didn't even mention it.
They probably didn't know yet.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, cool. So I continued. I'm in my neighborhood for about another week. During the week, the cops had pulled us over. And They used to always pull us over back then. I don't know about now. I don't know what the cops do now, but they would pull us over and make us take off our shirts, take pictures of our tattoos and stuff, want to update their gang files. And I used to always be like, nah, you ain't taking my picture. Nah, you have to take me to the substation or something. I'm not getting undressed for you right here in the street, blah, blah, blah. And I would always turn my face when they would like try to take my picture and stuff. Like my older homies used to teach me like, man, you don't want to take pictures, you know, with guns and this and that. Like they taught me well. They were like, you don't want to get yourself in the mix and have all this evidence against you. Don't do that stuff. And I was taught, you know what I mean? Like, don't do anything with too many people. Then you got more witnesses. Like my older homies would teach me stuff like, I mean, they weren't positive mentors, but they taught me how to do things in the neighborhood.
I understand exactly what you mean.
So here I am now. I'm all like kind of shooken up about these girls, but at the same time, my homie's telling me it's just GTA. So during that week in the streets, you know, the cops had pulled us over numerous of times, you know what I mean? But they never took me in. They never even questioned us about that shooting. So one day I didn't go to school. I was sicker than a dog. I'm in sweats. I got the chills. My mom was like, just stay home. I think she gave me some like Tylenol or something. Stay home. You know, I got to go to work. I'm home by myself. And remember, my mom used to go early in the morning. She would leave like at 5 a.m. About 7 a.m., I hear the dogs barking. Like there's a lot of dogs. You know, I have dogs. My neighbors had dogs. Dogs are barking and barking. So I peek out my blinds. There were blinds like your blinds. I peeked out my blind and I seen all the cops, like a gang unit, everybody surrounding my house. I go to the backyard. I see gunners on the wall and I'm like, dang, like, excuse me. I'm like, shoot. I don't know what to do. So I just jumped back in bed. I'm like, man, forget this. It's only me and one of my sisters is there. They start banging on the door, open the door. We have a search warrant, blah, blah, blah. My sister opens the door. They come to my room. I'm under the blanket. I'm stupid. I'm thinking like, man, if they don't see me, you know, I can't see. If I can't see them, they can't see me, you know? I'm under my blankets.
Trying to hide.
I'm sicker. I'm telling you, though, I'm sicker than a dog, though. I mean, I have fever. I have runny nose. I'm coughing. I believe it was a flu, you know what I mean? And they come in and they're like, they have me at gunpoint, flashlights on me and stuff. They end up getting me. They have me on the floor. They're like, yeah, you're done. And I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm done? And they start telling me, yeah, we have a warrant for your arrest for 187. You know, you're going to jail.
And you are 16.
16 years old. Just turned 16. It was right after my birthday, which is today.
Happy birthday again.
Thank you. And this was like a week after my birthday, my 16th birthday. And my sister's like, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing. Don't say nothing. Just shut up. Just like let them do their thing. So they got me. They took me out. They took me to the substation. I'm sitting there. Gang unit comes in. They start telling me, you know, what I'm busted for. They start saying, man, Jojo, you might as well cooperate. You know, your homie's already turned on you. I'm like, yeah, right. Like, come on. You know, this ain't my first time talking to the cops. You know what I mean? So yes. I already knew how they try to twist stuff up. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've already been schooled. You know what I mean? Most of us, I figured, have been trained on this. You know what I mean? So I'm just holding my mug like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. You know what I mean? Do what you got to do. You know, call my mom, tell her to come get. I'm thinking like, call my mom, tell her to come get me like always. You know what I mean? They're like, nah, you're going to Los Padrinos. You're going to juvenile hall. And I was like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? So they end up taking me to juvenile hall.
Wait, so how was that experience for you? Like you going into juvenile hall, it's your first time. You've been arrested so many times. Your mom was able to pick you up. Now you're like 187.
Yeah.
And you were 16 years old. You get to Los Padrinos. How was you walking into Los Padrinos for you?
Hey, you know what? I had the good thing about it though is that my other homeboy, my homeboy Pee Wee was going with me. Okay. So I had a homie with me, and he was like,
both of you fools got raided at the same time.
We got raided at the same time. He was in one tank, I was in another tank, and I was looking for the other homie. I was like, if they got us two, where's the other homie? Right? Nah. Okay, we'll get into that. So anyways, me and my homeboy Pee Wee, we're going to juvenile hall. They put us in thing, and we're like we're talking to each other, but we're not saying nothing about the case. We're just like, yeah, you know, just hold your tongue. You know, like they don't got nothing. They, you know, They don't have nothing on us. You know what I mean? This is stupid or whatever. That was our conversation, minimal conversation. We get there, of course, they strip us down, shower us. And
how did you feel when they stripped you down?
at that time, I was a little gun shy because they made me get naked, and there was some other guys that were being processed at the same time that were a little bit older. They looked like they were like almost 18 years old. They look a lot more, mature than myself. You know what I mean? Of course, I was already going through puberty and stuff, but I was still just this little kid right there naked. Yes. You know what I mean? And next thing I know, they give me the new clothing, my white T-shirt, my khaki pants, and a sweater, and told me, you'll be going to A and B. Before that, I think we took a TB test or something and checked our teeth or something, like go through that little process before they take us to the reception. As soon as I got to the reception, that's when it was kind of like, not scary, but kind of like the unknown had me like a little jitterish because I was being hit up from all these neighborhoods that I didn't know. Compton neighborhood, the Harbor area, South Central, because in Los Padrinos, that's all that's there. The SGV, Harbor area, South Central, Compton, all of that. We go to Los Padrinos, right? So I didn't know a lot of them neighborhoods. Yeah, I knew the guys from Monte. I knew my enemies. I knew the homies from Azusa, and them neighborhoods I was familiar with the SGV. But all these other neighborhoods hitting me up was kind of like, okay, like I ain't never heard of your neighborhood, which was kind of just like, what you mean you never heard of my neighborhood? Because that's what I would say. I'm like, hey, I'm just telling you, I ain't never heard of your neighborhood. Well, now you heard of it, It's like I kind of had attitude from the get go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for me though, Negra, not to like put my neighborhood on a pedestal or nothing like that, but everywhere I went, there was always a lot of homies from Puente, so it was kind of like cool for me, you know what I mean? As soon as I got to my unit, I was already being told from like people from my area, oh yeah, you got a homie on G&H, on RNS, or, you even got a homegirl in WNX or whatever, and start telling me this and that. And I got that feedback, you know what I mean? And A and B was cool. When I got to my unit, which was N&O though, I got jumped my first day there, which
by
was
who or what?
Some of my enemies. They came in. Well, one of them, I was using the restroom, and one of them came up next to me because I had my neighborhood blasted on my neck already. I had it all the way across my neck at 16. Yeah. And I had it on my neck already, and my back, my stomach and stuff. And he started telling me his neighborhood and stuff, right? And I was like, what's up, fool? So he was like, yeah, you'll see. So when I go to my room, I was still in the day room. I hadn't even went to my room yet to put my stuff there. I was still in the day room, but I told him I need to use the restroom. Yeah. But as soon as I came in, as soon as you walk through the door, them kids are already hitting you up. You know what I mean? And he comes and gets at me in the restroom. And then when I go to my room, next thing I know, the rooms in juvenile hall, they don't lock behind you or nothing. They're open, you know what I mean, until it's time to go to bed or whatever. Then they come and lock it down, right? So him and one of his other homies come in, and they just like, we're going at it in my room, you know what I mean? And after that happened...
Was that like your first time getting jumped ever?
No. I got jumped on the streets and stuff. Okay. Yeah. But... different at that moment, though, you know what I'm saying? So in my head, I'm like, okay, so when do I get my get back? What do I, like in my head, I'm processing, what do I do next? Because it was already locked down right after that happened, because that happened when they were going down the hallway. So when they say everybody take it to your rooms, all these doors are opening and stuff. And I was already in there though, because they had told me go in and make your bed up or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I'm in there making up my bed, and that's when they came in and rushed me and stuff. So they took off. I didn't really get busted up bad, but I had like a knot on the back of my head.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For being the first day there and not even 24 hours, you literally just got there, and it's like, it's a big thing.
Yeah, so in the morning...
You only have way more to look for.
Yeah, yeah. So in the morning when I come out, because we don't have sinks or none of that stuff in our restroom, in the rooms, in juvenile hall, you don't have that. You got to like knock to use the restroom and whatnot. So in the morning,
like toilet paper, you have to remember they used to do like the little toilet paper rolls.
I don't even remember that. When you had to use a restroom, you either said, yeah, I need to do a stand up or a sit down. That's what it was called, stand up or sit down. And then, so what happens is, I'm going they open your door to go brush your teeth. Like you got a toothbrush, and then they have this big old thing of tooth powder, and you'd get like a little spoon, put your tooth powder on, and go brush your teeth, right? So when I'm going, they notice that the side of my face was red. They're like, "What happened to your face?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What happened to my face? Like that's how I came in." And they're like, "That ain't how you came in." You know what I mean? I was like, "Yeah, that's how I came in." And then they were like, "That ain't how you came in. Go ahead, do what you got to do." Then when I came out, I guess the senior of that unit was like, "Come here." Like, "What happened to you?" And I was like, "Nothing," you know? And then they're like, "All right, go into the day room and stuff." So I started eating, and I'm still trying to find out who was his other homeboy, though, that came in on me, because I saw the first one that was in the restroom. So then the next one, though, he had came out like a little bit after me. And then that's when he started like throwing up his neighborhood at me and stuff. And the homie from Florida is like, "Hey, fool, like if you want to rush him right now, I'll rush him with you and stuff." So we got off right there. And then again, we got off. This time, though, I'm already being sent to the box now because it was in the day room.
And the next day,
literally that morning for breakfast. It wasn't even 24 hours yet. And then from there, that's when I go to the box. When I come back, like everything's kind of cool now. They're kind of like, all right, you know what I mean?
Did his thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't still buddy or nothing, but it was like me and the homie from Flores were cool. And there was another homie there from Pomona 12th Street that was cool. Like a little bit of the car was starting to come together, the SUV car, you know what I mean? Because at this point in time, I still don't even know
who's who.
A lot of SUV, you know. I didn't even know. I mean, we claimed P13 and this homie was claiming P12, and I'm like, P12, you know, where's that at? That's Pomona. That's Pomona. And, you know, as time went on, we started getting more closer and closer, and, you know, other homies from Azusa started coming in.
How long did you fight?
I ended up fighting my case. I ended up staying in Los Padrinos. I want to say January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. And in September is when I had my fitness hearing to be tried as an adult. And when I was suitable, when I was found fit to be tried as an adult, they moved me to Eastlake.
To the K&L.
Yeah, I ended up going to K&L. And then that's when I started going to adult court.
So tell me about Eastlake compared to Los Padrinos.
Eastlake was a little bit more familiar with me because I was always in Northeast, East LA, because my grandmother lived right there on Brooklyn and Indiana. And then my other grandmother lived by Nightingale still. She lived there.
Okay.
So I knew a lot of them neighborhoods in Eastlake much more than I did when I went to Los Padrinos. Like Hazard, I knew, you know what I mean? I knew about the homies from Harpies. I knew the homies from Avenues. I knew the homies from.
You're saying that Northeast.
Yeah. Lincoln Heights, Highland Park. I knew like all of them. There was a couple of homies there from Dogtown that I knew. Like growing up, I had cousins and stuff. All my cousins are from over that area.
Got it.
So growing up, I knew a lot about them neighborhoods more so.
So you felt more comfortable in Eastlake. And in Eastlake, did they give you the orange or did you get?
No. We still had, what did I have? No, we still had like the brown pants, gray pants,
with the
gray sweatshirt.
Got it.
Yeah, white t-shirt, gray sweatshirt. It was just like the elastic pants, you know.
Got it.
We didn't officially we had the big old Eastlake stamp on them. And then, so I was there in K&L. Like I said, like in September is when they found me suitable to be tried as an adult. I started going to adult court.
Tell me how'd you feel? Like, how did you feel deep down, like now you're going to adult court and you're a child still. And it's like, you know, you're like moving around and you're probably like, they're probably telling you like, oh, you know, now you're an adult. Even though you're, you know, what's going through your head? You
know what, Negra? The severity of it all wasn't really registering. You know what I mean? I wasn't even really like too focused on that as much as I should have. I was more focused on what was going on in there. You know what I'm saying?
It's only normal because that's your life. That's where you're living. So it's just normal.
I was trusting my public defenders and whoever else was working on my case. You know, I was just showing up. Whatever happens. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, at this point in time, I don't know what happened. I'm not saying nothing. So there's really nothing I can do but show up.
Court?
So when I'm going to court, in order to get, so listen, so all that time in juvenile court, all they kept on doing is postponing.
They were waiting for you to get closer to your age, but being an adult type of vibe.
I don't know. They were just postponing, whatever. And then they hit me with the trial as an adult. So I end up going to adult court. They used to pick me up from juvenile hall in the county bus, put me in the cages. So I would see like the older homies that I knew. And, I thought I was all like high power in the cage. Like, what's up, fools? You know what I mean? Banging and stuff, And then, I was there in East Lake, so September, October, and then in November is when we were starting the pre-trial. We were starting pre-trial. This is when my family actually got me a paid attorney, and I was like, all right, cool, like let's do this.
There for you.
Yeah, we ended up getting a paid attorney and stuff, and everything was looking favorable for me at this point in time. Right, everything was looking good. So we go into we're getting ready to start like jury selection or whatever, and was it jury selection? No, this was pre-trial. I don't even think there was a jury at this specific time. I think the judge was still like hearing the evidence or whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was no trial at this time. No. It was just a judge, but I think they call it pre-trial or something, or before you start trial or whatever, right?
The pre-trial shit. I don't know.
Yeah, probably something like that. But I'm in adult court now, So anyways, this is how it goes. We're going to court. We get there, and they're calling in the witnesses. Right? The witnesses are showing, but there's no jury at this time. And that's why I'm saying I'm trying to remember the process. You know what I mean? Because we were in court, the judge, and there was witnesses, but there was no judge. I wasn't on jury. I wasn't on trial yet.
Yeah.
Wasn't on trial yet. So anyways, they're bringing in these witnesses and everybody, all the guys that we shot at and whatnot, because I had attempted murders. Yeah, they were coming. There was people coming, and they were saying it wasn't me. I was like, cool,
Okay.
That's the streets. That's the law of the streets, right? Mm-hmm. All of them are coming and saying, no, that's not him. We can't remember. The only thing is, they had already said it was me on paperwork. So the DA's like, let me refresh in your memory on such and such date.
You said
this, and that, and they were like, no, I don't remember saying that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know if they threatened them. If you don't go to court, you're gonna be in contempt or you're gonna be whatever. I don't know how they threatened them, but when they got to court, they all said it wasn't me, all of them. And by this time, I should just add this. At this time, I had found out that my homie in the back seat was turning state evidence against me. Right? He was gone, though. We had already heard he was gone. He was in Mexico. My homeboys ended up shooting up his house. He left.
Yes.
Rumors were he was in Mexico, right? Well, according to the neighborhood, that's the rumor. He was in Mexico. So all the witnesses come. They call his name, right? He's not coming. The girl shows up to court. She says it's not me. They're going off her paperwork too. Paperwork said something, you know what I mean?
Yes.
In person, no, I don't remember. No, I don't remember saying that. No, I didn't say that, whatever. So all these people, they don't got nothing on me. And my lawyer's like hitting me like, we got this. Like, don't worry about it. We got this, right? They're calling for my crime partner. He doesn't come. He never shows up. And he's like the key witness, right? Mm-hmm. So at that time, they couldn't bond you over to Superior Court on hearsay.
Yeah.
Because all they had was hearsay on paper. So they gave me a DA reject. I had a DA reject.
So you were there for a year fighting your case?
Fighting my case.
DA reject.
For it to be a DA reject. So me and my crime partner, we're in juvenile hall. We're in East Lake. We're out on the yard with our units. And I see my homeboy coming across the field with his box. He had a box. And I was like, where you going, fool? He said, they called me for release. We're being released. I was like, what? Like, I didn't know we were going home. I know they said a DA reject. I didn't know what that all in.
Hey, this is crazy, right? Like before, like people were like, nah, you gotta go. If you're a witness, you gotta go. Like they're gonna go to your house. Now it's so freaking.
Yeah. It's
like, do you ever feel that your generation, obviously, because you are a bit older than myself. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming you are, you were alive in 75, shit, I was born 82.
Okay.
Do you feel like, does it ever like make you feel some way like in your heart? Because I do. I mean, not that I was this big old, but I was on my block for a long, long time. And like, do you ever feel like, man, we went through so much to make it how it is, and then like now it's just like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah.
Even though you're not there, obviously, you know,
yeah.
you're a grown man. I'm a grown woman.
Yeah.
We have our own lives. You know, we're different people. But I mean, in my heart, like, I don't feel like I'm different. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
No,
just
I
like,
know what you're saying.
I see things and I'm just like, oh, like, it just breaks my heart.
It does make you wonder, like, man, how did it all switch up? How did things change so rapidly to the culture from back then? You know what I mean? It's just, that's part of evolution, I guess.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just, you know.
No, I understand. But yeah, so.
So you come with this box and you're like, we're getting released.
He's jamming. I'm like, what? I hear my name on the speaker telling me to report back to the unit. I go back. They say, grab your stuff. So I already had like just my pictures of my legal work. And I'm like, I'm gone. So my family, his family, they're outside the gate of East Lake. Oh my God, it was so funny. When they gave me back my release clothes, I had like sweat. Remember, I got busted in sweats. I got busted in sweats a year earlier. Man, I had grown in that year like inches because my sweats were all high water now. My sweatshirt was all, I don't know if I was like a small at that time. Now I'm a medium or a large or something. But I'm like, dang. I like told my mom, you need to go get me some clothes. She's like, don't worry. So me and my homie, we go home. We're all excited. We're happy. We stop and we eat. I think we stopped at Manuel's. I think we stopped right there at the Tapiak to eat and stuff. We're grubbing and we go back home and that night, Negra, I'm at home and I'm like tripped out. And I'm like hard time. I'm listening to oldies and I'm looking at all my letters because I had this girlfriend at the time.
Remember to ask you.
Remember I told you I had this girlfriend that was she, you know, that was the girl I was waiting for originally.
Oh, she was down for you though. She was there for you the whole time?
No, not the whole time. Not the whole time. She ended up getting with actually one of my enemies. Oh. Actually, one of my enemies where the shooting took place. I was like, this broad right here. But that's where she lived, though. That's the high school she went to as well. You know what I mean? So I was like, whatever.
The homie, you know?
But I still had all her letters, though. You know what I mean? And I'm right there just tripping. So the next day, my mom, you know, God bless her heart, you know, mom, she meant well. You know, she took me shopping, you know, because I didn't have no clothes. Nothing fit me. So she took me to this spot called Doughboys. That was the neighborhood, like, homie store. You know what I mean? She went, bought me, like, 5 pairs of khakis, Levi's, sweatshirts. Took me to JCPenney's to buy my white T-shirt, the Stanfords. She bought me my bouts, bought me like 3 pairs of brand new Nike Cortez, bought me a brand new P hat represent. And like mom's was crazy like that. She meant well, but like she done broke the bank on me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she knew I wasn't gonna wear nothing else.
Hold on, really quick. Let me rewind really quick because I obviously have to ask. Like, this is what I do, right? What was like the craziest thing you experienced in your juvenile hall in that 1 year? Like, what was the craziest thing you saw? Because time is different than the way it is now. Even my time, like, you know, what would you say was the craziest thing? Even if it's like a staff member doing something, like, you know, I don't literally always mean abuse.
I would say it was seeing this guy get he got soaped up. When I mean soaped up, there was probably like 4 bars of Dove soap. It was Dove or Ivory soap or something in a sock. And this guy just beat the hell out of him right there in the day room with it, where it looked like his eye was almost like coming out of socket. And
it is pretty intense.
Yeah, the juvenile, I mean, there was a lot of fightings. I mean, there was like no stabbings, maybe a couple pencil stabbings, but nothing that crazy. But maybe that was like the craziest that I saw. I mean, just like there was dudes that got, you know, their nose broken or whatnot.
Yeah, but
there
that's
was
like fighting.
But when I saw this, like there was like blood flying, like even off the sock. It was as if it was whipping, as he was whipping on him.
Intense.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I was like, dang, that dude got him good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, probably that. You know what I mean? I saw a lot of people getting jumped, whatnot, stomped on.
Pretty normal stuff.
Yeah, nothing that crazy.
No, that's good. So your mom took you shopping.
Mom took me shopping. I'm back on the scene. Like right after she picked me up, I went to the neighborhood. I met up with my other homie. Yeah, I G'd up. He was G'd up. I was like, damn, fool, I can't believe we're out. This is like the next day after I'm out, me and him are on our block. We're on Cadbrook, right? My homeboy P, we lived on Cadbrook. And we're out there just like chilling, just like, damn, fool. Like, it looks so different, right? This car pulls up. And we're looking at it. We're like, who's that? He was like, shoot, we don't know anybody out here. They passed by. It was like homies, and they passed by. They're looking at us, and they keep on going. And the homies like, I don't know, maybe they'll make a U-turn. And sure enough, at the corner, it was like they were making a U-turn, but they stopped, and they shoot at us. Like, the way I come in, that's what they do to us. And I'm like, oh, that, like they dumping on us. And literally, I could smell the gunpowder as it flew by. I was like, you could hear like, zoop, 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 like probably like I think it was like 4 or 5 shots.
Damn.
And I told the homie Pee Wee, like, damn, fool, like, nothing's changed in the last year, you know? So it was like,
probably
well, I guess that's our first smart car. And then later on, the homie was like, were they in a red like Camaro? We're like, yeah. They were like, oh yeah, they're from, that side of town or whatever. We're like, dang, like, first day home, or like literally second day home, we almost got killed.
So, because most likely in that 1 year, things got 100% worse in the streets.
Yeah, things were really hot. Yeah, there was a lot new little homies that got into the neighborhood during that year.
Because now you're in the 90s.
Yeah.
You're like 90, 91?
No. This is 90. This was actually it was November of 89, getting ready. So we still had Christmas. We still have Christmas of 89.
Okay.
So we got out right after Thanksgiving is when we got out, getting ready to go in December. So it's like late November.
Of 89.
Of 89.
1989, guys.
And so I'm telling the homie, like, dang, like, that's crazy. Like, we just almost got killed for our first day out, right? He said, no, let's go in the garage, you know what I mean? Like, let's go hang out in the garage. So later on that evening, more homies started coming around, and man, it wasn't long till I found myself like right back in the mix. And I had told my mom too, I'm gonna do good, Mom, I promise. You know what I mean? I had got a lot of credits while I was busted for that year in juvenile hall because they force you to go to school.
Yes.
So I got a lot of credits from there. So I went back to the same continuation that I had told you about, where there was like 5 people, the probationary school. So I ended up going back there. And I told my mom, I'm doing good, whatnot. Actually, no. Funny story. Before I went there, I checked back. I tried to check in. Now it's like, was it the junior year? I think I was going into junior year. I was trying to go back to my regular high school. I went to high school. So my mom takes me and enrolls me in everything. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm going to do this. So they gave me a list of what I needed to get or whatever. I mean, I go to class. They give me my books. They tell me I need to put book covers on them. Back then the little brown paper trash bag. I mean, the shopping.
The market basket.
The paper bags. Yeah, the paper bags. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. I'll put book covers on all these, whatever. They told me what PE clothes I needed to wear, what colors or whatnot. They told me, yeah, if you want to wear, our colors are black and orange.
Yeah.
And they told us you could wear either orange or gray or black sweats, white t-shirt.
I have maybe like 7, 8 cousins that have graduated went to high school.
Okay, so they tell me what colors I have to wear. Yeah, so I'm like, all right, cool, let's do this. So the next day, that first day, everybody was welcoming. The next day, it was as if the teachers just started like pointing me out, like,
because you're all G'd up at school.
Yeah, and they're looking at me and stuff, and like by Wednesday, I'm already not feeling it. I'm at PE, and the PE coach tells us. I mean, they literally let us play t-shirt, no t-shirts, boys. T-shirts, no t-shirts. I have tattoos on me, and he comes and tells me, you need to put your shirt on. I was like, why? Nobody else has their shirt. You need to put your shirt on. And I'm like, what for, man? You know what I mean? I'm like everybody else. He said, you know what? Go to the counselor's office. I go to the counselor's office. I tell them what happened. They're like, all right, well, you need to follow his instruction,
Because you do have tattoos.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, whatever, So by Friday, I'm done with school. I'm like, I check out. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I had a teacher crumble one of my papers. I did the work. I did the homework. But I did it like light, dark lettering, like that juvenile hall writing lettering, all caps, I think. She crumbled and she said, I ain't accepting chicken scratch. Instead of telling me like, you know what, you need to rewrite this, use cursive, disrespectful, crumbled in my face and told me she wasn't accepting it. And I got mad. I got pissed off, and I was like, I'm not doing this. So on Friday, I went back on my bike. I went to school, and I told the counselor, yeah, I just want to let you know I'm not coming back to school. Like, does your probation officers know? Like, he'll find out. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go tell him right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him know. Like, I'm not coming though. So I literally like just dropped out.
They were being mean to you.
Yeah, they were being mean and stuff. I called my probation officer, told him, and he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go enroll back in COPE. I'm going to go see if they will take me back. He's like, okay, let me know what happens. So I go, and she said, yeah, you could come back, And so I started doing packets and stuff. And at this time, Negra, I wanted, because my juvenile record was still like, I was never, even though I was tried as an adult, I was found fit. My juvenile record, I still just had like, just like petty stuff, just petty stuff. Yeah,
because you didn't get filed. It was nothing. So basically, you never really. So basically, to the like on record, you never got. That whole year, it was just a waste of your life.
So, anyways, at this time though, I wanted to get my GED. This was the goal. I wanted to get my GED and go to the Marine Corps. My dad was a Marine. My uncles were all military. My grandfather's military. I had cousins in military. Like, I come from a military family as well. Gangbanging family, military family.
Yeah.
It was either what? Either join the street gang or join, join the war in the streets or join,
either
a war.
Way, yes.
So that was my goal though. I wanted to. All my life I wanted to be a Marine. I love my dad. My dad was like my hero. He was my everything, you know what I mean? And we had a crazy relationship, me and my dad. My mom was the loving, caring person. My dad was the disciplinary. My dad was the angry dude. He was an alcoholic. I'll say functioning alcoholic because he always worked. Every time he came home, though, he'd have a 6-pack or a case or something, go to his room, drink. My mom would serve him, serve him in the room. He would eat and then crash out and go to work, do the same thing the next day. Mm-hmm. He did that until he retired, And but my dad, though, I used to think my dad was the coolest dad when he was drunk. He's the happy drunk. I'm the violent drunk, don't get me drunk because I want to start, stabbing and shooting. But my dad was a happy drunk, he'll start giving away money and, he was just happy,
Got it.
But during the work week, though, when he wasn't drinking, though, and come home working, he was like, and my dad was real militant in my home where I had to have my room clean. My room was immaculate. There was never no trash. And my bed was always made. Things were dusted off. Like, that was a discipline that I learned from a kid with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
My stuff was always tight, And so anyways, where was I at?
It was either going to be the military.
Yeah. So that's where I'm going to COPE because I want to get my GED.
Hey, good thing I'm paying attention.
Yeah, I want to get my GED to go to the Marines. Yes. That's what I needed. And I'm already working with the recruiter. There's a recruiter already working me out. I'm going with them to the base.
But you're still chilling with the homies.
But I'm still with the homies. And the homies know too. They're like, hey, you got to go this weekend to San Diego. You're going to Camp Pendleton? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still in the neighborhood.
Well, because they're your friends. They want you to do
well,
better.
they could probably care less. Really though. They wanted me in the neighborhood or whatever though. You know what I'm saying? But they knew who I was, so it wasn't really like questioned in any kind of way.
Yeah.
My character. At this time, I'm thinking I'm all OG. I already did time. I've already been putting in work in the neighborhood.
You already beat the murder.
Prior to that shooting and stuff, I had already been putting in work. You know what I mean? Getting involved in a lot of activity. So it wasn't really like I had to like prove myself. You know what I'm saying? So. But I kept on finding myself, being involved. Like I said, the more you're in the streets, the more you're getting involved. But at this time, like shortly after that, like right after the new year, I met one of my homegirls that I got with my homegirl. Shout out to my wife, Dahlia.
Shout out to Dahlia.
Dahlia was like, she was one of the angry homegirls too. She resembled me, but on the homegirl side. She had a lot of say so. We don't say no shot calling stuff in my neighborhood. But she had a big influence on a lot of the homegirls. The homegirls looked up to her. It was kind of like whatever she said. Pretty much they would follow. You know what I mean? Not because they had to, but just like, all right, let's go. You know what I'm saying?
She was a good example.
Yeah. You know what I mean? She was down for hers. And, a lot of the homegirls at that time, they were down. You know what I mean? And that's who they were. And I ended up getting with her and me and her, like, she was a tough cookie, man. And got with her and it was a trip, though, because she literally, like, oh man, like literally, like she stole my heart for real. Like I love my neighborhood more than anybody. I mean, it was just like, it was crazy.
But you guys
know what
both
I'm saying?
loved it.
Well, when we first started dating, it was always homies there. We were never by ourselves. There was always a gang of homies
You guys were
with
kind of
us.
be like the sneaky links.
There was a gang of homies, gang of homegirls.
They call it now sneaky links.
Yeah, we were always together though. You know what I mean? Like always around homies. Every now and then though, I would go over there by myself to her house, and she would come to my house and stuff. And before long, I'm talking about like months later, you know, we had actually started like talking about like, you know, like getting serious, like having kids and stuff.
Oh, snap.
Like for real. I mean, and remember at this time I'm 17 now.
Yeah, you're about to be 18.
She's 16. I'm 17. Her birthday was a few months after mine. So I'm 17. She's still 16, and we're starting to get really serious. You know what I mean? And started seeing a lot more of each other, just me and her. You know. Started doing like just the dating stuff, going to the movies, you know what I mean? Going and would go to the beach together just to hang out and just talk and stuff and whatnot. And during this time, there's like homies my age that are dying. You know, one of her homegirls got killed, and it's a lot of serious stuff happening. I mean, real serious stuff happening as always. And we're talking about grown-up stuff, you know what I mean? And she's working, and I'm like, I'm gonna get me a job and stuff. But unfortunately, I found myself getting busted again. I found myself going back and forth.
Did you catch a new case?
I would catch like stupid cases. I caught an assault. One time these enemies tried to cocktail my sister's house. So she calls me yelling. At that time, I had a beeper.
For the people that don't know, what is cocktail?
It's a bottle with gasoline. And so they threw one of them at my sister's house, and she lived down the street from me. And she, at that time, I still had a pager, right? I'm in them pager days. I'm saying my age, right? So I had a pager, and she's blowing me up. So I was like, dang, you know, and it's not like I have a cell phone to call her right back. So I'm like, hey, fool, pull over real quick. And we were on our way back from the beach. I think we were at Huntington Beach, me and a bunch of homies. And she's calling me, and we're close. And she's calling me, and I was like, just pull over. Let me, you know, no, I didn't say pull over. I said, you know what, go to her house. You know what I mean? She's blowing me up left and right. So when we get there, I'm like, what the heck's going on? And she said, the fire department's coming, this and that. And they leave. The fire department leaves, and the cops, they do a report or whatever. My sister's like, I don't know who did it or whatever. So while we're there, tell me these fools didn't come back. And they were drunk. They were drunk. They were out of their minds. They came back, got out of the car. They didn't realize that at this time there was a lot of fools there that we were all in. And I had a truck. At this time I'm driving. It's not my truck, but I used to say it was my truck. It was my dad's truck, right? Yeah. And back then, remember, there's no seatbelt laws. I mean, everybody's in the back of this truck. I'm talking about, we used to pack that like sardines. So all my homies are there that went to the beach, and they come back. The homie starts yelling, hey, fool, there's these fools outside in the front. We go out there. We end up beating them down. My homie jumps in their car, runs them over in their own car. And I'm like, you know what? Forget these fools. I run out with the shotgun. I had a shotgun, and I ran out there. And my homie's like, hold up, fool. Like you don't even have to do that. Like, let's just beat the crap out of them. So we just like beat them down. And as we're beating them down, the cops rode up right in the middle. No, while I ran back, I jumped actually... I jumped like 3 houses, right? And I ended up getting away. I was gone. While the homies were over there, I'm like, I'm gone. I'm like in 3 backyards already. And as I'm walking home, the cops rode up on me and got me. They got me. And so they take me in. They had me for like assault with a deadly weapon because my homies ran. And I had kicked somebody, did whatever, but my homie that ran him over or whatever, they gave us assault with a deadly weapon. And here I am, like 3 of us going to juvenile hall, Los Padrinos again. Once I get there and I go to court, though, they're like, why is he here in my court? Like, he's an adult. They're like, he's 17. I didn't know this, but once you're tried as an adult,
you're an adult.
You're considered an adult on everything else that ever happens.
Oh.
So from Los Padrinos, they take me to East Lake. I'm like, why are they taking me to East Lake? So from East Lake, the sheriffs picked me up and ended up taking me to the juvenile section in the county jail.
How was that?
I was in 3100.
How was that for you? Because it's completely different.
It was different getting processed into the county, but it was still the juvenile section. So when I got there, it was dudes that I already knew from juvenile hall. So they're like, "Oh, you finally made it back." But they were thinking that I was still fighting the other case. I was like, "Nah, I got out, fool. This is for something else." They're like, "What? Like, wait a minute, what?" And I told them, "Yeah, man, these fools tried to burn my sister's house down, and we ended up running them over, and now I'm back in court for this." So when I go to court for that, though, they end up letting me out on an OR. I'm like, what? I guess the witness, they weren't testifying. They weren't pressing charges.
Yeah.
So I was like, here I am again, thinking I'm everything, thinking I'm out on the streets. Everything's cool. My girlfriend, Dalia at the time, she's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're home and everything." So I'm home. A couple of weeks later, I end up getting busted again for a G ride. So I'm with Dalia, but I'm back and forth. But at this time, though, she's like staying back and forth at my house with my mom and stuff because like she had a shaky relationship with her own mom.
Parents,
so she was, always at my house and stuff. I don't think she was living there, but back and forth or whatever. So I get out again. I got busted for a GTA. And it was funny though. We were going to the Lake Festival. You know how they always every year at Whittier Narrows, they had that big old carnival or whatever.
Okay, yes.
So we were in like 5 carloads going, Negra, and we stopped for gas, right? We stopped in gas. And I was like, why am I even in this G ride when there's other homies that have other cars that ain't G ride? There was like 5, 6 carloads though. And some of them were G rides. The one I was in is the G ride. And let me remind you, I have a truck that I could have, for whatever, I don't know. I think my dad or somebody were like, "Nah, you can't use it right now." I think I got in an argument or something. I'm in this G ride. We go into this Circle K. And we're in there, we see the cops outside. I'm like, damn, the cops are out there. Like, are they running the plates or something? So I tell the homie, like, let's just go out one at a time and just, like, we're in our enemy's neighborhood again. I'm like, let's just walk out and walk through their neighborhood. Heck with them, you know what I mean? Let's go. So as we're coming out, we're walking. Sure enough, more cops came, gaffled us up. Like, where you going? I was like, I'm going home. What do you mean, where am I going? I had a bag of chips and a Gatorade. I'm walking home. They were like, what are you doing over here? This ain't your neighborhood.
They knew exactly.
They knew. So I'm telling them, like, I'm going home. They're like, no. They're like, how'd you get here? I was like, I walked over here. They're like, shut up, fool. Like, no, you didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they end up arresting they go into the Circle K, pull out anybody that looks like a homie. And there was a lot of us.
5 cars.
Yeah. Well, a couple of them, they got away. There was like, I think only us that had gas, or I don't know, or the other ones were parked, or I don't know what happened, but there was like 2 carloads of us that got booked. They take us to West Covina Police Department, and it's funny though because we're in there and I'm laughing, and they were like, they wanted me to call home again. Remember, I'm 17. They're like, call home. I'm like, no, I don't want to call home. Like I don't got a home. Like either you let me go or send me wherever you're going to send me. So they can't run my name because I'm not giving them my name, right? And I'm in West Covina's police department, and they don't know me. So they call industry. They see the tattoos there. So they call industry. They're like, hey, I got this guy. I'm right there sitting with them. They're like, I got this guy. He has point on his neck, on his stomach. They're identifying me. They're like, let me fax you over a picture. Tell me if this is him. So they fax over the picture.
To figure out who you are.
It's me, right? And so they were like, so they run my name and everything. They're like, oh, why do we have you in the juvenile tent? You're supposed to be an adult, like you're on the adult section or whatever. I said, you send me wherever you want to send me. You know what I mean? I don't care. You're still not calling me home. But they still got to call my parents though because I'm 17.
Yeah, you're a minor still.
So I'm still telling them, no, I ain't calling nobody, right? They said, where are you trying to get to? I said, I'm trying to get back to Los Padrinos because there's one of my enemies. All of us, we're excited to be going to juvenile hall together because we have an enemy there that raped one of our homegirls. I'm fabricating this story, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I'm fabricating this story saying, yeah, there was a homegirl that was raped by one of our enemies that's right there. And we get there, we're going to kill that fool. So, yeah, give us a ride to go kill this fool. And he said, what homegirl? And I was like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, when we get there, we'll do it. Tell me the cops didn't let us go. The cops let us walk out of the station.
Well, technically, they didn't have nothing on you guys.
They had the stolen car, but we weren't in the stolen car.
So it wasn't yours. Let's just be real.
So they literally let us go. They let us all, except for one homie that was an adult, and he had like a parole hold.
Or something like that.
So they let him go. I mean, they kept him. They kept him because he's not supposed to be around gang members. I believe that was the actual violation. So we take off. I end up back in my neighborhood, right? Let me speed it up, though. Me and my wife at this time, we find out she's pregnant. This is like within a couple of months of me getting out.
This is your first child.
This is my first child. We're excited. My mom, my family, they're excited. You know what I mean? I'm the baby, going to have a baby. She's scared as hell to tell her family because her family, like, they're crazy. She didn't like
you were listening to the "How can I tell my mom?"
That was going on in her head, right? My mom, my sister, everybody was excited. They were happy. And so when we found out this, we literally were talking about getting an apartment together. Like, I need to get a job. I need to stop selling dope. Like, I need to be out here.
Focus.
Like, yeah, I had like a moment where I was like, I need to get my stuff together, man, for reals. I need to get it together. So my older sister, she lived in Almani, and I told she gave us a room. She said, why don't you come over here? You know, come stay with me, you know? And so we went over there. We stood with her. We ended up getting married. We had a Las Vegas shotgun wedding.
How cool
gang of homies, homegirls. She's already pregnant. We were like, let's go to Vegas, all of us. You know what I mean? So we went deep. We went like deep to Vegas. We were both young. We were both still underage. So our parents had to sign for us. So they signed for us. We got married there. The next week we had a wedding reception at my sister's house. My other sisters that lived in the neighborhood. Oh my goodness, it was so crazy. I mean, it was crazy. It ended up getting shot up by one of my own homeboys. Him and one of my other homies had personal beef. He came. They got down at the wedding reception. He ends up leaving, coming back, trying to get that other homie. He shot one of my other homies in the stomach with a shotgun.
Oh my goodness!
By this time, though, this is later on in the evening. My wife's already pregnant. She's March, April. She's like 4 months pregnant. She was already tired. My mom lives down the street. We go over there. She said, yeah, I'm ready to go home. It's our celebration. The main family's gone. The only ones left still are all the homies. She was like, I'm ready to go home. So I take her home while we're there. Is when I hear the gunshots. I wasn't there when it happened.
Oh, good.
My sister calls me and tells me, you got to get over here right here. So I go over there. As soon as I get there, I put the homie in the car. I'm like, we got to get him to the hospital. Let's go. So we put him in the back seat of the car. We're driving. As we're driving, the cops swoop up, pull us over. I'm like, dang. So we end up fabricating the story, saying it was the blacks. They came and did a drive-by. You know, it was a drive-by. We fabricated the story. The cops, they call the ambulance. They end up taking them. They didn't take none of us to jail. They were asking us for a description. We're like, I don't know, man. They just drove by. It was a black car. They were black. They yelled out something and they took off, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever. So that's my wedding reception. Like, dang.
At 17.
17. So anyways, we end up back in Almani. I get a righteous job. She's working. We're saving our money. I'm not like, you know, the homies know what's going on with me.
Yeah,
they know where I'm at.
Together.
Yeah. They're not tripping or nothing like that, you know? So anyways, 4th of July weekend of 90, this is 4th of July of 90. No, not 90, 91. 91's already came in. So all of 90 was in and out.
Yes.
Getting with my wife. 91's when we're starting to get together, right? 4th of July now. We go back to my mom's house for 4th of July weekend. It wasn't 4th of July, but it was that weekend. You know, 4th of July was coming up.
That's how you remember it.
That's how I remember it. So I go to 7-Eleven with one of my homies. I considered him a brother. He had lived with us and everything. Good brother, good homie of mine. And we go to 7-Eleven right by the pad. When we're coming out of 7-Eleven, City of Industry sheriffs come up. And by this time, I'm like legit. There's no reason to run or nothing. He's somewhat legit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they swoop up on us. They ask us, put our hands on the car or whatnot. We do all that routine. I end up, they ask for our ID card. I said, here, you know, he gives them his, and we're like, you know, sitting on the curb right
you
there.
You guys are good.
We're cool. Next thing I know, there's one cop that's talking to us, interviewing us, whatever, you know, just asking us, what are we doing, where we're from, blah, blah, blah. The other cop comes and he draws down on me and says, don't move. Tells his partner there's a warrant out for my arrest. for 187 and attempted murders, whatever. He's saying the codes and stuff. And I'm like, man, this dude. And it's probably about 7 o'clock. They let my brother
in the
go.
evening.
Yeah, in the evening. I tell my brother goes. I say, yeah, go and tell them what happened, So when I get to the substation, I don't use the phone or nothing. They put me in the substation. I'm there in the cell, and I'm like, damn, man, I'm thinking, like, what did I hear? What's been taking place in the neighborhood, And there's always stuff going on in the neighborhood.
That you don't know because you're not supposed to even know what's going on.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, they would do this type of crap and pick us up and just try to fish for information, just hoping that somebody, that's the way the cops are.
Yeah.
So I'm in there and I'm like, man, these idiots, right? So finally, I end up falling asleep in the cell. I want to say it was maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. It could have been later. I'm not sure. I didn't have a clock order, but I know it was like later in the evening after they had arrested me and booked me.
And it was already 7 when you got arrested. So
yeah,
definitely at night.
Yeah. So the gang unit calls me out and they take me in the little interview room and they're like, "What's up, Jojo, man? Congratulations. Heard you got me." I know the gang unit. They're acting like they're my friends. They're like, "Hey, Jojo, congratulations. Heard you got married. You got a baby on the way. You're working, doing good." Like, they knew everything about me, right? I'm like, man, come on, fools. Like, what's up? Like, what do you, what are we doing if you know all that, why you got me here?
Yes.
What's the purpose? If you know I'm doing good and all this, why you got me here for?
Yes.
And they're like, hey, this wasn't on us. And I was like, what do you mean it's not on you? What are you talking about? He said, the district attorney from Pomona Superior Court refiled on you. I'm like, refiled on me? What do you mean? Refiled on me from what? What are you talking about? From your case in 89. They reopened it. And I'm like,
it's already been 2 years.
Yeah, and I'm like, I beat that case. So they're like, no, you had a DA. I didn't know about acquittals. I thought because they let me go, it was done. They refiled on me. They reopened that case. So now I'm talking to when I called my wife and the next day and I tell her, I said, hey, don't even trip. It's from the case that I told you about before.
I've been good this whole time.
Yeah. I'm like,
this is from the past.
So I'm telling her, I said, yeah, I already beat this. Don't worry about it. Get a hold of my attorney, Jack Alex. That was his name. Get a hold of Jack and let him know what's going on. So Jack, I end up calling him with one of my calls and I tell him and he said, yeah, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? We'll take care of this. So this time, though, they take me to county jail. But this time, I'm 18 now.
Yes, I was about to ask.
I'm 18 now. Now I'm going to... It was as if they waited for me to turn 18 to refile. Wow. I don't know. So anyways, here I am. I believe, did I get busted on a Friday? Because I don't remember going. I think I stood in the substation like a day or so. Maybe like one day, I think I stood there and then they took me to county jail, Men's Central. And that was a whole different experience.
Go, tell us.
Yeah, so...
Because this is 1991.
Yeah, from 89 to 91 now. And remember though, I had been there in the juvenile section. Juvenile hall,
but it's completely different, I'm sure, from...
Now it is. The process that I'm going through now is totally different from when they took me from Eastlake, right?
Yes.
Totally different. Because now it's like, now I'm going through the whole process, you know what I mean? So I go through the process. I end up going to, as I'm going through the process, so I'm like, dang, like I'm seeing all the older cats now, like it's no longer my age dudes. Like there isn't a lot of dudes my age right there at that moment. So anyways, they take me, they do the whole process of stripping me down and walk me in a line of everybody, the whole, nuts to butts type of stuff. And they got us just it's crazy, and we're sitting there and they literally for a minute just have you butt naked moving around, you know what I mean? Like specifically, I know it's to humiliate us, you know what I mean?
Make you feel a certain way,
yeah, make us feel very vulnerable and whatnot. And here I am, butt naked with all these men, old men, people that are straight winos, homeless. The smell of that process, like it's a distinct smell. There's like no other smell than that processing of LA County Jail. I mean, it's a mixture of like, it's like worse than an alley smell to me. You know what I mean?
No, listen, I understand.
It's like BO, urine, just like funk,
Yes, I know.
And here you are, like just naked in the midst of all of this, right? And then they do like an X-ray. I believe they do an X-ray. I don't know if that's the way they do their TB testing or whatnot. They take you there. They ask you if you have any diseases or anything, or
mental issues.
Yeah, they go through that process. You go through windows. You go through a lot of different process, and then you go through like the classification process. Where you from? You have any enemies? This and that. You tell them
say no to everything.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And then they're like, all right, and then after like so many hours, you end up on the 9,000 floor. I end up in 9,500, which was just like a big dorm with 1,000 bunks pushed up next to each other. I mean, there's smoke in there. It's loud. It's like, damn. It's like, I'm like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. I'm walking in with like no property. I mean, you don't got nothing, you know. You just got your blanket. And that's it. I don't even think I had a pillow, just a blanket, and you just walking through. And I'm like looking around, and then some other homie like, hey, youngster, where you from? And I told him. He said, all right, hold on. And then he called another homie. He's like, hey, call the homie, blah, blah, blah. And it was my homeboy, Frank. And there's an older homie, and I knew him. He was actually like kind of related to me. So he was like, "What's up, fool?" Like blah blah blah. He's talking to me.
Felt a little more
then he called over like another. Like I said, Puente was once again deep right there. There's like probably like 8, 10 homies, all older homies,
just in that dorm,
just in 9,500. There's like about a good there are a lot of homies, all older homies. And a couple of them I knew, a couple of them I didn't know. This was my first time meeting them and stuff. So from that point on, they're like giving me the rundown, you know what I mean? Telling me, they took me over to where they were at. They fed me, gave me some stuff, gave me some candy bars and whatnot.
You were spreading already?
I don't remember spreading, to tell you the truth. I just remember they were like, you hungry, fool? And I was like, yeah. And they would like give me I remember like a Slim Jim. They gave me some corn nuts, like some candy bars, and I was like, cool. You know what I mean? Cool. And then they just started telling me, so this is what's going to happen next. They're going to come. They're going to take us to the roof. They're going to call you. They're going to call you, and they're going to take you to the modules. This is only like processing right here. So from here, you're going to go to the modules. You know what I mean? And right away they told me though, they were like, hey fool, there's no gang banging in here.
Okay.
Just off the top, they were because they knew me as a little gang bang. They knew that I was active, through earlier years, not them last few months of me trying to get my stuff together, but all they knew from my name, my reputation was this little fool's a banger, So I'm like listening to him or whatnot. Then I ended up staying up there. We go to the roof and stuff. Then they end up calling my name, giving me a little card and say, yeah, you're going here. Bam. So I think the first place I went to was like the 3,000 floor. I think it was like 3,600 or something like that. So I go there, 6-man cell, or was it 6-man or 4-man? I don't remember, to tell you the truth, if it was 4-man or 6-man cell. But there's a homie in there, and he's like, what's up, youngster, where you from? And so I told him, and so he's like, all right, cool, He said, so Mondays, I sweep and mop the floors. Tuesday, homie does it. Wednesday will be your day, I was like, all right, what I do? He's like, just like sweep it up, and then there's a towel right there, a floor towel. He said, and then just use we have a bottle of shampoo right there. Use that, clean the floor, and that's it, That
was your time to clean
everything. Yeah. So he was like, kind of like give me the rundown of the cell or whatever. And then there was like 3 homies in there at the time, from different neighborhoods and stuff. And then I had like 2 other homies that were down the tier. And so then when we went to chow and stuff, I got to talk to them and whatnot. And then from there, I ended up going to Wayside and stuff. And so the whole county jail experience,
it wasn't so bad. So I was about to ask you, what was like the craziest thing you saw?
Craziest thing I saw in there was...
Or the craziest thing you did in there that you could talk about, obviously.
Well, I mean, eventually, the craziest thing, I hadn't got to that in the story, but eventually, I start earning my bones in there and stuff and volunteering my style. But at the meantime, remember, I'm thinking I'm going home, Negra. So I'm not like trying to really put myself out there like I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to
because in your head you think since you already beat it last time, you're gonna beat it again.
Yeah. So I'm still down for mine, and I'm still going to do whatever I have to do. But I'm not volunteering. I'm not trying to be outspoken. I'm not trying to be that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
I'm trying to just be that cool, calm, collective, and only do what's necessary. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And luckily for me, like I said, I was surrounded by a lot of older homies. Some of them were real cool people giving me good school. And then I had a couple of dope fiend homies that were, scandalous and trying to look out for themselves. And I'll even say it now, try to take advantage of a youngster. You know what I mean? Like, hey, homie, can I get $5 until I get my visit? $10, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that he wasn't going to get a visit. Yeah. Knowing he was a dope fiend, strung out, wanting to come up. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I was used to the slick talk. So I was like, hey, homie, you know what I mean? Like, I'll get at. Let me figure out some things first. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it. You know what it was.
Yeah. So and then there was other homies that were telling me to stay away from these homies anyway. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I had some good homies that were like schooling me the right way, telling me not to get involved. They were like, yeah, I know. Like I said, they knew I was a banger and they knew I was a drug dealer, but they told me don't get involved in that scene. It's like lay low on that stuff. Don't try to don't try to come up in here. You know what I'm saying? Just chill. Relax and pay attention. Pretty much that's what they told me.
Pay attention.
So
you got to Wayside.
So I got to Wayside, similar things. I went to Medium North. I've been to Max. I opened up Supermax. When they first opened Supermax, I was probably one of the first hundreds to go in there. There was actually only 2 dorms open at the time when we opened Supermax. That was 90. That was 91. And then I kept on going back and forth to the county jail for court and stuff.
So anyways,
so what's going on in the court system is my lawyer tells me we're going to have a speeding trial. Well, let's get a speeding trial. That means within 90 days, we have to pick a jury and start trial. I said, let's do it. 90 days. My wife is still only like March, April, May, June. She's like 7 months. She's like 7 months pregnant. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing the calculation. Good chances I might be able to make it out. You know what I mean? Like let's have the speeding trial. Let's go. And so speed up to the whole trial stuff. We get to trial. They're saying they're not dismissing it. They're not kicking it out or nothing. We're going to trial. My lawyer says we're going to trial. We're going to start jury selection, everything, right? So we go in a jury selection, we start picking the juries and everything. I'm going into trial. I got a suit and stuff, looking all, sharp and stuff. And everybody's aware, where I'm at this point. At this time, I'm in the trial module in the county jail now. I'm in the trial module. I'm actually in 3600. I'm on Able Row on the first floor. And that's everybody there was all fighting like serious cases, right? So here we are going to court and everything, Negra, and I have butterflies. I'm like, dang, here we go, whatever.
So what was the max they were trying to give? Like, what was the sentencing? Like, what was happening?
At this point in time, they weren't offering no deals at all.
Okay.
At all.
You didn't know anything.
When we were first starting, I was looking at a life term. I knew that from juvenile hall. I already knew that from when I was going to court as the juvenile. So I'm going in trial every day. We're going to trial. All the same witnesses came. All of them said it wasn't me. My lawyer was tearing them up.
Still came back?
They still came back. There was probably like two that probably did. There was a lot of eyewitnesses that were in the garage that they pulled. So when the cops got there and did their police report, there was people that gave a report, right?
Wow.
But now they're in court. They're not saying anything.
Yes.
Somebody reminded them, you're not supposed to say anything, right? Even if the girl shows up, come to find out, the girl was one of my homeboy's daughters, one of my older homie's daughters that I didn't know at the time. Yeah. He's at court and he's already like giving me the eye signal, like, don't worry about nothing. Like, I got this. Like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, you're good, So anyway, she gets up. She pleads the fifth because she was actually a part of the crime. She plead the fifth so nothing would be held against her, and to incriminate herself.
Yeah.
So she pled the fifth, and then all the other witnesses came and said it wasn't me. They couldn't identify me or whatnot. And then what happens is the last witness is my crime partner. The one that was in Mexico.
They found him.
Well, come to find out, this fool comes back to the States, moves out to the IE. I'm not going to say where, but he moves out to the IE, starts up a little neighborhood out there, right? And let me tell you about this homeboy. This homeboy wasn't born and raised in Puente, which is tradition, like, in our neighborhood. Like, most of the homies from Puente are born and raised Puente. I mean, for many, many years, like, that was, like, mandatory.
As it should be,
You know what I'm saying? This guy was from South Central, right? He ended up hanging out with us. He ended up coming, I think, in the high school years or late junior high years or whatever. Ended up getting close to the homies. Ended up getting into the neighborhood.
Got it.
So he ends up coming to court. And this homeboy, Negra, I was so close to him, though. He was down. This fool was down to fight. This fool would never rank out. I mean, this fool was willing to get stabbed up, shot up, whatever. Like, this fool was down. So I never, ever thought he would ever. So he comes in with, like, 4 green jackets, the gang unit. He comes in with, they're literally escorting him, surrounding him as he comes to the stage. Literally,
wow.
And he's mad dogging me. He's
like
mad,
you did something
he's
to him.
mad dogging me as he's walking through, right? And I'm like, and remember, I hadn't seen him, since everything first started, right? And what happens is, he comes in, mad dogging me, takes the stand, says his name and everything. He starts testifying what happened. He started adding stuff that wasn't even on record, in which I would eventually end up being booked for after the fact.
Wow.
He comes in and starts saying even more stuff that happened that they didn't even know about. He starts talking about some other shootings, some other stuff.
Wow.
And I'm listening to him, and they started asking him, the DA still questioned him. The DA is asking him, what is your purpose in testifying against Joe? And he said that I put a hit on his mom. Remember I told you they shot up his house? I didn't even know they shot up his house. For real.
After.
And you know what? I mean, like I said before, I didn't have no problems with his mom. I still didn't even believe he was testifying. I didn't even have paperwork on him at this point.
That's how it was done, though.
I didn't even have paperwork on him, though, to really hate him, you know what I mean? Even though it was in back of my mind, you know what I mean? Like, man, what did he say? First of all, he wasn't going through juvenile hall with me and the other homie, you know what I mean? He was arrested on that same day. And here we are, he's coming and he's saying that now he's testifying because I put a hit on his mom, which, I mean, it's not true. I mean, I didn't have nothing against his mom. I didn't really even have nothing against him at that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So here he is, and he starts crying on the stage, talking about how much he loved me and stuff, but I was wrong for what I did and this and that. And I was like, I'm done. Like, at this point in time, I'm like, I'm done, because
this fool's saying all kinds of
he's saying everything and some, and the jury. I'm looking at the juries, and the jury's looking at me, and they're like, he's like putting on a hell of a show, and I'm like, dang. But it is what it is. So right after that happened, Negra, I went back. I went back to the county jail. My bunkie was Malone from Hazard. That was my bunkie. He was fighting a double murder case too, and everybody, I told everybody I was going home, just based off of my case and everything. I was telling everybody I'm going home. So when I got back, they looked at my face and they were like, what happened? What happened today? What happened? Because every day I was going to court for like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I was going to court. Every day I was going to court. I believe it was like 2, almost maybe even 3 weeks. I was going back and forth,
That's so tiring, I'm sure.
Back and forth. Well, so I go and I tell them, and he just like, dang, that sucks. And everybody on the row, everything was quiet, you know what I mean? And we had our own special roof where we used to go to the roof ourselves. They even opened up like store for us because all of us were at court all day. So we never got to shower, nothing during the daytime. So they like kind of catered to us in the evening time.
And you guys were all fighting major cases as well.
Yeah. So they would open it up for us. So that night I went to the roof, and that's where they had the phone. So, I did my collect call, they answered, and they're crying and they're like, what does that mean now? What do you think's gonna happen? I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm literally done. And they were like, don't lose hope. My mom was like, don't lose hope, like it's still, the jury still gotta find you guilty. And I was like, it's done. It's a wrap. So anyways, go back the next day, and then they start deliberating. I think he was the last witness.
So what did you end up getting sentenced to? Let's move it there.
So I end up getting sentenced to 45 years to life with a 15-year gang enhancement. Well, actually, it was 30 years to life with the 15 years for the gang enhancement.
So what would that mean, though? Like,
that means life. That means you washed up. Back in them days, we were talking about Buck Rogers days. It was known as a lottery ticket. You won a lottery ticket. That was the same for lifers back then. Yeah. Lottery tickets, Or in juvenile hall, we used to refer it to Buck Rogers. Like you're gonna get out when cars are flying. If you do get out. So, anyways, I ended up. The jury came back. All of them found me guilty. And then, so because I was a juvenile, though, they sent me to the California Youth Authority first to see whether or not I could go there. It's called like what is it called? It's like another fitness hearing. So you go there to see whether or not if they would have found me suitable as a juvenile, then I could have got out at 25.
Yes.
You max out at 25. But unfortunately, they ended up saying I was suitable to go to prison.
Yes.
So they gave me what's called an M number. So an M number will go to YA until you're 25 years old, and then they send you right over to prison.
Okay.
So
how was YA for you? Were you a super feed man?
YA was cool, man. I loved YA. When I got to YA, and you know what? Let me backtrack though. Let me backtrack. So during this time, Negra, of me like going through trial and all that, before I actually started my trial, I was in Medium North, and I was, like I said, I wasn't volunteering, but I was still doing some things.
Yeah.
Someone's paperwork came up there. This dude from West LA came up. He needed to be dealt with, and wanted to be regulated. They wanted him to be blasted. They wanted him to be hit. So me and this other dude said, yeah, okay, we got it. Me and another homie. Like, we'll take care of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So his job, we were in Medium North, which is dorm living, right? Medium North was crazy too. I mean, that was like the concrete jungle. So anyways, it was later in the evening. They had just barely turned off the lights, and I told the homie, let's go. So the theme was we were going to throw a blanket over them, and I was just going to start.
Yeah. Damn.
So we go and we do it. There was another homie that was on standby just in case he jumped up and started wanting to try to do anything. We jumped up. Boom, 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 boom. He starts yelling. The cops come in. They take him. They didn't catch me. We ran. Before they turned on the lights and everything, I ran.
Did you get caught for this?
I ended up, yeah.
Okay,
he ended up
saying some things that, you know?
He ended up identifying me in it.
Okay.
Right? And what happens is they take me over there in Medium North. They have what's called the catwalk, and they're little windows way on top where the cops walk through, and they're able to watch the whole dorm, right? So they lined us up and they put us like in a lineup, right? And I was identified, right? So I ended up going to Sergeant's Court, which is like you go to the hole and you go to what's called Sergeant's Court, and then you wait around on a DA reject. I mean, you wait around to see if a DA is going to pick it up or not, right? So I'm there in Sergeant's Court, and I forgot what I was sentenced to. I think I had like maybe I think they sentenced me to like 3 months or something in the hole. And so
you're already a lifer, so you ain't even.
I'm not a lifer yet, though. I haven't went to sentencing yet.
Oh.
I haven't even. Wait a minute. I don't want to twist this up. So, not sentencing, or was it? Okay, back up. No. Okay, so back up. I was found guilty already, but I hadn't been sentenced yet.
Yes.
Okay,
that's where
because
we were at,
I had to still go to YA. I still had to go to YA for my fitness hearings and everything like that.
It was like a 30-day. I forgot what it's called.
A 90-day observation.
There you go.
Yeah. So you're supposed to go on your 90-day observation.
So you're either going to get released or go over the wall. But since you were
not released, there's no release at all.
No, but I'm like I've had somebody that they did the 90 days. What we just said, and then they got released because they didn't meet criteria or whatever. Fuck.
No. Well, so mine wasn't for being released. My 90-day observation was to see if I was going straight to prison or to YA first.
Got it.
Yeah, to see if I was fit for youth authority or not. So, anyways, during that process, when I got found guilty, everything went out the window. I had let my hair grow during that time. After that happened, shaved my head, and I was volunteering for everything. I was like,
you didn't care.
I was mad. I was upset. I was just like, forget that life that I had planned. You know what I mean? Told my wife to find a new dude to raise a kid. Like, I'm done. Like, everything. I was denying visits. I was like, I didn't want nothing to do with the outside world. You know what I mean? Like, my head was like, I'm about to spend the rest of my life in here. You know what I mean? Even though I ain't sentenced yet, I already know this.
Yeah.
So I'm volunteering at this time for everything. So that's how I got in that predicament by raising my hand. I'll take care of it.
Got it.
I got this. You know what I mean? Ain't no big deal, I already knew I was getting life. So it was like no big deal. But I still wasn't sentenced yet. So anyways, I do this. I go to sergeant's court. During that time, though, in waiting to go to and this is all God in the making of my life. Okay, there's a big shifting in my story now, Negra, just to prepare you. During that time, I blast this dude. I get sentenced to, I forgot, I think it was like 3 months. It's something, 148 days. It was some crazy days. They don't say weeks, months. They say days. Like, you got 148 days in the hole or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. And during that time, the DA's waiting to pick it up or whatever. I guess they submit it to a DA and they determine. Once they seen that I was already
doing...
Yeah. They're like, you know what? Forget that fool. Let him go do his time, whatever, right? So anyways, during that time in the hole, I'm by myself. I didn't have a celly or nothing. I'm on E-row. It's called E-row in Medium North. And I'm in there and I'm working out, doing my regular time. I've been in the hole multiple times at this point in time, throughout my juvenile hall. I'm used to the segregation.
Yes.
It's no big thing.
So
I know how to do it.
a little better, yeah.
Yeah, I know how to do time in there. This time, though, I found this, when you're in the hole, you're reading all the writing on the walls. You're finding ways to entertain yourself. If you're lucky, you'll get a little Freeway Freddy, get a little cockroach or something, to entertain yourself. And I found this paper crumbled up in the bunk, right between the bunk and the wall. And I open it up, and it's a Bible tract. I open it up and I start reading it. It's talking about the love of God, and I read it, and it's like whatever. I crumble it and throw it in the corner. No big deal, Later on, I go back and I start reading it again. This time, I start getting angry. At this point in time, I start having, like a meltdown.
That you needed to have, probably.
I started having like a little meltdown but it was anger. Like a lot of stuff was just bottling up in me where at this point, I'm like cussing out God. I'm blaming God for the death of my nephew, the 4-year-old. I'm blaming him for, just every wrong thing in my life. I'm blaming him. And at this time, I'm like punching the walls. I'm like having like a little, it sounds funny, but like Boys in the Hood. Remember when Homeboy's going crazy?
Yeah.
I was kind of like in like just like mad. And I grabbed that paper and I'm reading it. And I start hating God. And I literally like start cussing out God. I'm like, if you're such a loving God, this and that, F you, blah,
yes,
blah, blah.
I understand.
I'm having a breakdown. I'm like, and I don't got to worry about saving face because I don't got a bunkie. I don't got to play that role. You know what I mean? Everybody knew me from a certain perspective.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where they wouldn't have probably. That night, man, I'm just cussing out God and I'm mad and I don't know why I'm so mad and I'm going through this and I'm just like thinking of my life. I'm thinking of my mom, like what I put her through and how I let down my dad and, not becoming a Marine. And it started hitting me like, dang, this is the rest of my life. And I'm literally like barely starting it. Like I haven't even started my sentence yet. I'm just here. And, I ain't too proud to say it, but, I like started tearing up. I mean, I wasn't just like bawling, but I like teared up in my eyes. Like, when you get so mad and here I am, I got these tears like in my eyes. It was just like so much hatred and anger and stuff towards God. And I ended up falling asleep. in that state of mind. And the next day when I woke up, I couldn't even open my eyes. My eyes were so puffy. And I'm like, man, like.
You had to go to court?
No. I didn't have to go to court. I'm still doing my whole time. And I'm right there. And at this time, I'm waiting for the YA bus to come pick me up. I'm waiting to go to YA. And I'm in this cell, and I fell on my knees, Negra. I fell on my knees that next morning, and I like to accredit this day as my spiritual awakening, my moment of clarity that, like, what's going on here? Man, like, dang, like, life is over, as I have ever known it. And I get on my knees and I didn't say some fancy prayer, nothing. I just said, God, if you're real, I need you to change this heart. Because at this point in my life, Negra, I was like close to suicidal, just too much pride to take my own life. I wanted the cops to kill me. I wanted the blacks to kill me. You know what I mean? I wanted some enemy or something to kill me. You know what I mean? At this time, I'm like, I'm still good with the homies. I'm not thinking they're going to kill me. I ain't did nothing to deserve it. But I'm like, I done did some bad things to some blacks in there already. I done got involved in some wrong. You know what I mean? Like anything could happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I just, but I won't do it myself though, because I'm too prideful. You know what I mean? I'm too prideful what anybody going to say after I'm gone. Like that fool went out backwards. He went out like a punk or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But my life though was like at this moment, I was like, what's going on? You know what I mean? So anyways, I got through that moment, cleaned myself up, got my composure back and whatnot. And I ended up like, I didn't have a Bible or anything, didn't get all religious at this point in time besides that prayer. All I said was that prayer, nothing else. I didn't see no bright lights or it was nothing miraculous that took place, but
you did feel lighter.
I felt that burden. Yeah, I felt lighter. I felt that burden like, okay, I'm good with my creator. You know what I'm saying? I still didn't know too much about him or anything like that, but I just kind of believed there was a God, I grew up in a Catholic home and whatnot, but it was never nothing personal, nothing never really serious, It was always funerals, wedding, or baptism or something. Other than that, it was nothing, But at this point, they ended up letting me out of the hole and put me back on mainline. I ended up getting out. And I ended up going back to the dorm. Actually, I went to another dorm. They took me to another dorm. And when I gave me a care package saying, thank you, for taking care of what you had to take care of, whatever, But they were already. As soon as I got back, I hadn't even showered yet. I hadn't put down my blanket. And they were already telling me because that's kind of like the role I was playing at that time. I was like a torpedo. I was like, give me the ice pick and let me go. I'm ready to go again. And I was like, all right, which one? And they showing me and whatnot. And I like, all right, I got my eye on them or whatever. And then I go to the shower, man. I told one of the homies, like, hey, go with me to the shower. Because it was like kind of tensed up at the time. When I got there, they were telling me too, like, don't take off your shoes, like keep your shoes on or whatever. I was like, hey, well, I want to go take a shower real quick. He said, well, take a homie with you, And in Medium North, the showers are like, they're like probably like up to your chest where you could see out like the wind, like there's like a wall and then there's like a little glass where you could see through. So it's like the cops could always see in, right? So I'm right there and as I'm in there and I'm like, I say like, I literally said like a little prayer, like, man, I really don't want to do this right now. Like, like God, like I asked you to change my heart. Like, and I had been feeling good. Like I had that burden off of me and, here I am right back in the mix again. I'm in the shower. I'm just thinking. And I just said like a prayer to God, like, man, I thought you heard me, like I thought you heard me when I prayed, And so anyways, while I'm in the shower, the cops come in, like 3 sheriffs come in and they pull out that guy. And I look up and I'm like, maybe you did hear my prayers. You know what I mean? They took that guy, the one that was already marked, the one that was already supposed to be whatever. Yes. They took him and I'm right there in the shower and a little burden came off. It wasn't like I was afraid to do it, but I just didn't want to do it. So let me speed up the story though, because it's a long one. And so anyway, so I get to this dorm and stuff and I take a shower and I'm in this bunk and the homies come up to me and they start telling me about what just happened, like, hey, like squash that or whatever, And I was like, of course, he's gone, you know what I mean? So they tell me, hey, homie, so listen, so the cop that we're going to be able to use to move you bunks, because I was surrounded by a bunch of blacks where I was at. And I guess the homies had some juice to move me around. So they said, hey, tomorrow we'll move you over there where the homies are. So just for today, you'll be right here. The only thing is, you're going to bunk up with the Christian. And I was like, with a Christian? And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, he's cool though. He's a homie, but he reads the Bible and stuff. He's cool. You'll like him. He's cool people. And so I was like, all right, we'll check it out tomorrow or whatever. So it ends up happening like they say. They call my name, go up to the window. They say, yeah, move your stuff to bunk such and such. So I go over there and I introduce myself to the Christian and stuff and seemed cool, you know what I mean? But he didn't talk to me. He didn't really talk to me or nothing. He did his thing and I did my thing. I'd go over there with the homies or whatever. And I'm still waiting for the bus to come pick me up. And, you know, I'm still like kind of at this time though, Negra, I'm still kind of like just like chill right now. You know, I'm kind of chill. And, you know, the homies are still kind of like blessing me with different things because of what I did, you know, like they're getting kites telling me, you know, thanks, you know, look out for the homie, you know, for what he did or whatever. So I'm still getting like little spreads and this and that or whatever. And by this time, I had already like earned a little reputation, you know. I'd already, you know, started to earn my bones by this time. And what happens is I call. Remember, I had told you that I had told my wife like get on. I don't want, I'm canceling my visits or whatever. And I was in the hole all the month, so I hadn't talked to nobody. Or I think she had wrote me a couple times. My mom had wrote me or whatever, but I don't think I wrote back. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna call her. The
baby was born.
Oh my goodness! You're gonna make me backtrack.
Well, okay, well, keep going.
Yeah. So anyways, you
make.
No. Well, let me backtrack just real quick.
Okay.
When they came back with the verdict, the day they came back with the verdict, my son was born.
Oh wow!
After the jury came back, after deliberating while I was in trial, when they came back. Yeah, so he's already born at this point. But I'm still not wanting to do nothing with them.
Okay.
You know
even though he was already born, you still told, because you did say, find a and have him raise the baby.
Yeah. I'm done. Okay. I'm done with the streets, right? I'm done. Once I was found guilty, it was, I'm done, right? Yeah. So anyways, so I decided to call home and I'm talking, and she's like, what's up? You know, she's kind of hard, you know, she's like, what's up? Now you want to call or whatever? I'm like, yeah, what's up? How you doing? Whatever. So we're talking and she said, hey, I have some bad news for you. And I was like, what? She said, yeah, they killed Puppet, my homeboy. I was real close to Puppet. And I was like, what? I said, who did it? And she like told me who did it and stuff. And I snapped. I started banging the phone. I was mad. The homies came and grabbed me. And so I didn't even finish my call with, I didn't finish my call with her, right? So I ended up going back to my bed and I'm just enraged and I'm thinking in my head, I'm plotting like, you know, like I'm gonna get some payback for him in here. You know, I'll make it personal, you know. And I'm just thinking, you know, my head was just scrambling at that time. I knew there would be consequences with whatever I ended up doing, you know.
Well, you were willing to accept them.
Yeah, you know, in there, you know, it's
a whole different life.
There's ways of making things personal, you know what I mean? And still getting away with some things. You know, you're not supposed to gangbang or anything like that, but you know, there's ways.
I'm with it. I understand.
So anyways,
everything I do is personal.
So anyways, I'm on my bed and this is the first time my bunkie comes and talks to me. He said he straight up called me out, the only one that could get rid of that rage in your life is the Lord Jesus Christ. And I jump off my bed all offensive, like, you don't even know me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
come at me like that.
Typical.
And he was big. He was big. He was a CY baby. He was a Y baby that, I mean, he was there on a violation. His whole story is a trip, though, but he was there on a violation. He had some guns on him. This dude was big. I'm still a little guy, you know what I mean? I'm like, damn, he could have easily probably smashed on him, but here I am with the gangster role, right? And here he is a Christian, so I'm trying to like stand tall to him, you know, and we ended up like just conversating, debating, kind of arguing type of thing. And long story short, Negra, later on after a few hours, he asked me, what would I do he asked me, where would I spend eternity if I was to die tonight? And I told him, heaven, you know, I believe in God. And he straight up told me, that's not good enough. You need to be born again. And I was like, what? What are you talking about, born again? And he ended up leading me in the sinner's prayer. And from that night forward, Negra, things changed in a crazy way. In a crazy way. Talk about that burden being lifted the first time. This time, there was such a peace upon my life. I woke up early that next morning and I was looking at everybody. Everybody was still sleeping. I woke up even before pill call. I'm just sitting there looking at everybody. And when they turned on the lights, it was like I had this revelation that like these are humans. Like for so long, I just seen people as victims. I just seen people as targets. I just like minimized that, like they were of value. And at this moment, I had got this sense like they're human. And I started just like started going in a direction where my life started to just started to get better and better even in that situation. And Gabriel was there for 2 weeks, just like we call it discipleship, where he was teaching me the Bible. He was teaching me how to pray. He was teaching me how to get away from the crowd, because I kept on like still having one foot in, one foot in what I was believing.
Wait, so you became Christian in jail?
I became Christian in jail. And
well, you haven't.
But I didn't even know. But let me tell you something though. I didn't even identify it as Christian. I had identified it as born again, because that's what he had told me. He hadn't even really talked to me about Christian. He had just told me that I needed to be born again. And from that confession of faith, I went to one of my older homies that was there with me that I trusted, and I told him what was going on, and he gave me a hug. He's now passed, but shout out to Ray Soto, because that homie like grabbed me and embraced me and told me to run with it. You know what I mean? And then I started getting at some of the other homies that were, with the business, and I told them, and they were like, that's feedback, homie. You could do if you could do that, then do it, homie. Just don't play games with it. Don't play games with it, because it's gonna be all bad if you decide to come back to this side after going that way. And at that moment, I understood what they were telling me. I understood exactly what they were telling me, and they pretty much just told me, ain't nobody going to sweat you for you wanting to be you, or wanting to seek change or whatever. And I didn't know. I didn't know what any of this was going to evolve to. And when Gabriel left, oh my goodness, I felt like the sheep among the wolves, because for 2 weeks I had been going strong with him to Bible study. I've been reading my Bible with him. I've been praying over my food, and now he's gone. And now, we had a tradition, like a little practice of where we would get on our knees and pray and stuff, and he was gone. And that first day, I'm on my knees by myself now, And it was crazy though, because it was as if God gave me divine favor with the homies. Everywhere I went, it was like homies didn't know what to expect though. They didn't know if I was sleeping. They didn't know if I was undercover, because I had did some scandalous stuff in there where I would like pretend someone's best friend and, end up doing what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I would, you put on these different masks to do what you got to do at certain times. So people didn't know, like, is he trying to get close to somebody with this new role? Is he acting or whatnot? I'm like, man, come here. Like, man, oh,
wow.
They were still eating spreads with me. They were like, I was still in, but I wasn't in. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my mentality, I'm trying to go like something else. But I was never judgmental. That's one thing about me. I was never judgmental of the homies. The homies are doing their things. I'm doing my things.
Well, you can't be judgmental.
And that's what it was. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I believe in God. I am very spiritual. I am not judgmental. I don't feel like being judgmental, if you're judgmental towards me, that is amazing, because I will not see you in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I look at everything in life.
Yeah.
So you couldn't be judgmental.
Yeah. So at this point, but even to the point though of saying that, like you guys are wrong, you know what I mean? And I'm right in doing what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, who the fuck are you? All of a sudden, this fool wants to fucking switch up and think he's
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and I knew right and wrong.
Like,
no matter what my spiritual beliefs was, I knew what was right and wrong. And that right there, for the next almost 14 years, I served the Lord. From shoe programs, we're going to have to fast forward, but yeah, I ended up...
Okay, so you get sentenced...
So I ended up getting... No. So I ended up finally catching the YA chain, going through this. And everybody's telling me when I'm leaving the county going to YA, they're like, hey, fool, careful over there, because you going to YA, like, they don't play that stuff. Like, your enemies are going to rush you on side. And,
Facts.
So they're telling me all this stuff, right? And, they're telling me what to do and stuff. And my homies are cool with it. They're like, that's cool, you're a Christian, you know what I mean? So I go to YA, I go to Norwalk to the reception center, and And let me tell you this. Everywhere I went, I always identified myself as boxer from Puente. So they could do their paperwork. They could do their background check, do their investigation. And then so automatically there wouldn't be no assumptions that I'm hiding from anything because I'm not hiding. You know,
Yes.
Who I am is who I am. You know, the path that I'm choosing to walk, even in this place, is the path I'm choosing to walk. And that was my stance, you know, from YA to prison to the shoe program. Like everywhere I went, I would tell them, you know, yeah, I'm boxer, Cadwick Street, Puente. This is where I've been. This is what I'm bus for. Is my paperwork. Whatever. You know, do what you got to do. I understand. I respect that. You know. And then as we go along, though, they'll be like, "Hey, homie, like you going to church?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to church." They're like, "I'm like, yeah, I'm Christian." And they were like, "Oh, okay." So it was kind of like a shocker, but at the same time, as I went that way, they could realize that, oh, homie is true. Like he's really with it. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, though, I gave everybody the opportunity to do your background check, do what you got to do, you know? And so anyways, I go to YA. I think I did have some enemies there, you know what I mean? And yeah, I told, yeah, I'm from Puente, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have a problem with you having to do what you have to do, you know? If you need to rush me, like...
Nobody rushed you.
Let's get down, you know, like... You know, I mean, my nickname's Boxer. I've been boxing my whole life. Like, we could do this, you know what I'm saying? So, but nobody ever rushed me. And that's all favor of God, all favor of God. And I think a lot of it was just the way I would carry myself, you know? Like, I didn't have that front where I was hard in the neighborhood and yet so religious where I'm, like, pushing people away. And so I ended up doing...
You just did you.
I ended up doing my 90-day observation. So trip out this. I do my 90-day observation. And during that time, you're supposed to see psychiatrists, like left and right. You're supposed to do these tests and all these different things. For like 90 days, you're supposed to go through all these testings, and then they write a report and they send it to the judge, and then the judge makes a decision on my sentencing and all this and that.
Yeah.
So I go to the 90-day observation. They never see me. So I go back to LA County Jail.
Oh, my goodness.
I go back to LA County Jail. I go before the judge and I end up telling them, you know, they never seen me. They don't have no report. They sent me back to YA on another 90-day observation. So remember, 90 days. So it's 3 months. I go back for a whole nother 90 days. And I'm thinking they're not going to see me again. And finally, like the last week of the 90-day observation, they see me. I'm like, they're definitely not going to have enough time to do the reports. So I ended up staying in Norwalk altogether, like almost, you would
almost
say...
a year.
Almost a year because they never were able to complete my papers. So by the time I go back, they end up sentencing me to the 30 years of life with the 15-year gang enhancement.
Right.
And at this point in time, though, I have this freedom in me, and
I know
I'm not even worried about it.
Like you accept that.
I accepted my term, and I was completely okay with it. So then from there, Norwalk, I end up going to YTS. And when I'm leaving Norwalk, everybody's telling me, "Oh, dang, fool! Like you had it good in YTS. They don't play that, fool. Like." Look at, as soon as you get to R&R, they're going to give you like a writing tab, pencil, try to get as many pencils, sharpen them up right there and then. They're going to give you like 2 razors, sharpen your pencils, put them all together, tape them, and you can use that as a little bone crusher, mini bone. I'm like, I ain't trying to hit nobody, you know.
You're like, I'm done with that.
Yeah, they're trying to give me instructions, you know, from R&R before I get to the unit, because as soon as I get to the unit, you know, because over there, like the rules were, you know, you have 24 hours to get at your enemies, you know. So I end up going to R&R. I go to A and B, which is the reception unit. And as I'm walking in, one of the homies that I knew from the county jail, it was the homie from Pacoima. He's like banging on the door, like, "What's up, fool? Tell him to put. I don't got a bunkie. Tell him to put you in my cell and stuff." So I go in there and stuff. And before I even get in there, he already knew I was Christian. And I told him, "You know I'm Christian now, right?" And he said, "Yeah, I heard, but like I know who you are though, you know what I mean?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm Christian though, you know that, right? You know, like I don't want to get you in trouble being in your cell or whatnot, you know, you bunking up with a Christian." He said, "Man, don't trip, like you're cool, you know."
Like you've been about it.
Yeah, so me and him, we just had a blast, and then I had other homies that were there, and in TS in general, I think I had like 12 to 15 homies that were there in different units and stuff, and they're all sending me kites and A&B, sending me a bunch of top ramens and food, canned goods and stuff, and they all knew I was Christian and stuff, and everything was cool. Everything was cool, and then like people accepted my walk, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, every time I ran into enemy, I would tell them the same thing, like, "Hey, homie, like yeah, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? But I understand. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do what you got to do.
But you're going to protect yourself.
Yeah, I let them know that. I mean, and it's probably obvious that they kind of heard of my reputation somehow. I mean, I wasn't all superstar, nothing like that, but certain people from certain neighborhoods because of
stories.
work you did. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So all glory to God. I give him all credit, Negra, for protecting me in that arena. You know what I'm saying? So I end up in YA. Me and my wife, we're reunited. Chino's not far from Puente, so she's there like every weekend. My son, when he first comes, he's still, he's just a baby. You know what I'm saying? He's just a baby. And he got to grow up with me there for like almost 5 years. I was there in TS for like 5 years until a counselor got killed there. Yeah, a counselor got killed there. And guess who, out of all people, and let me say something, Negra, and I had like so much favor while I was there. I had the highest paid positions. I was working what was called Free Venture, which was it's an outside agency that you work there. So it was called Mission Sheet Metal from Anaheim. So in there, I was doing sheet metal. And we had went on lockdown, but because we had a contract with the outside company, like they still had to work. So they would like escort me over there, and then sometimes they would pick me up and take me back to the unit. And there was a couple of us. But because of my unit where I was at when she died, they didn't know where she was at. Her body was missing. Her body was missing. They ended up finding her body in Pomona dumpster. And it was a crazy story. If you Google like the murder, the counselor, and why, it would like tell you what happened. But because it happened like somewhere within my vicinity, which they thought, and I was out while everybody else was, they
thought it was you.
They like put me in that mix. And I'm like, what the heck? I was just there. There's a gun tower that sees me walking back and forth, like, like what the heck? Like, so. Long story short, I ended up in I was in YTS. I mean, and if you were to ask me the craziest thing there, let me tell you.
Tell me the craziest thing.
The craziest thing in TS, and when you hear the term gladiator school, you think of like barbaric behaviors. I was just barely there, like 2 weeks. I had went up to medical for something, and I was coming back on the tray line. They have what's called the tray line. And when I'm coming back, there's a lot of people walking back up to their units, right? And in YTS, there's bottom units, and then there's top units, and there's a ramp. They call them the ramps that go up to the top units. There was this guy, I'm in A and B still, and the unit right above me was E and F. And there was this guy that I seen it like happen in slow motion because I'm like behind him. I seen this guy pull out a piece of rebar that's probably, it had to have been at least like maybe 1/4 inch thick or something, sharpened up, and he puts it through his back and it comes out his chest.
Oh.
And this guy like turns around and is trying to fight with this guy. And this guy blasts him and just walks away though. He continues walking up. And I'm like, my heart's beating fast. I'm like, dang, this isn't like getting cut in the county jail with a razor blade. This ain't like getting stabbed with a pencil in juvenile hall. Like, this is like, dang, a piece of rebar like going through somebody's body, like something you see in movies. And the next thing I know, I go in and I tell my bunkie what happened. And he said, watch, you're going to hear the helicopter right now. And sure enough, this helicopter always lands in the football field. It's an evac. It's to evacuate. It's to evacuate fast and get them to the hospital. All critical moves, right? So eventually, throughout my YTS days, I would see that helicopter multiple times.
Got it.
What I saw that day was probably the most extreme, but I seen people get hit like really bad in there. I mean, I know there was people that had died. We wouldn't see it because they would take them. They'll die in the helicopter or either in the hospital.
But you would hear about it after.
But you would hear about it though. You would hear about people hanging themselves. YTS was. I mean, it was a traumatic experience, but it was probably the best experience for me, for society. If they were to like witness the stories of what took place in there, it's horrifying.
I'm sure.
But
honestly.
for us, we get used to it. We get conditioned to it. We get numb to it. Mm-hmm. So when you hear somebody committing suicide or something, or you see somebody get stabbed or somebody get battery packed or something, with chunks of meat coming out of their head or something, it's kind of like, just get away and let it happen. Mind your own business and get away, But yeah, YTS, for it being called Gladiator School, I seen multiple assault, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like crazy stuff. So anyways, let me fast forward to that lady getting killed. So when that lady got killed, they locked down everybody, right? Everybody was on lockdown. They were trying to figure it all out. And right away, within a couple of weeks, they started shipping out every single lifer. All the lifers started leaving Y to prison. Everyone. And I'm here, like, we're locked down, and I'm locked down, and I'm like, I'm hearing about everybody leaving. I'm like, when am I leaving? I want to leave with everybody. Like, where's everybody going? Like, I want to go with them. You know what I'm saying? And every now and then the counselor were like, yeah, that bus went to Law School. That bus went to Chino. That bus went to Delano. They're telling us where all these buses are going. And I'm like, how many more people are here? Because I seen like almost all the lifers that were on my unit leave and stuff. And then come to find out, like, everybody was gone besides the kitchen workers that were on that unit and myself. So the kitchen workers were all under investigation of that thing too. So
everybody that was under investigation hasn't left.
We haven't left, and we're wondering what's going to happen with us. So there was like 5 of us. No, 6. So they tell us in the morning, you're leaving. And we're like, where are we going? So they break us down in our boxers and chanclas. That's it. Not even T-shirts. Boxers, chanclas. Shower shoes. They come in, they handcuff us just like that. No jumpsuits. They handcuff us. They put the chains around us. They put the ankle weights on us. They put the little box over our cuffs, and they take us down. And there's a van at the bottom of our ramp waiting for us. And they put us in there, and we're like, where are we going? It's only us. And they're like, you guys are going across the street to Chino, which is Chino prison. YTS is right across the street from Chino prison. Mm-hmm. So when we get there, we still don't know where we're going. We get there, Negra, and they take us to this tank, and they tell us, listen, I'm gonna warn all of you right now. They don't play where you guys are going. And we're like, okay, where are we going? And they said, you're going to Palm Hall. And Palm Hall, come to find out, that's ADSEC. That's a hole. That's where, like, all the craziness is, right? So we're like, what? Why are we going to the hole for still? They're like, you guys are under investigation by Chino PD. We're like, we ain't never been told that. Like, what? So we're like, what the heck is going on here? So this cop, the CEO, he's telling us, listen, we're going to walk you to your cell right now. Don't talk to nobody. Don't look at anybody.
Don't do shit.
Don't do nothing, okay? Just mind your own business and walk straight through. So as we're walking through the tier on the far side of the tier, there's windows and then there's the cells, right? So we're kind of away from where the cells are. And as we're walking through, oh man, it was like the movies. You just see people hanging out their cells and laundry hung up and stuff, and people are whistling at us. Oh, that second one's cute, and they're catcalling us and stuff.
Oh wow!
And then when we get up. When we get up on the third tier, and the CEO tells me and my bunkie, thank God, he was a Christian brother, ex-homie and stuff too, right? So he's with me, and he tells us, he said, you guys are on. He said, everyone below you are all PCs, all of them. He said, you're up here with some people, so be respectful. They're gonna reach out to you. They're like, he's giving us the heads up. He's telling us they're gonna reach out to you, whatever. I still don't know who's there though. I don't know who's on this row. So eventually.
But everybody on the top row is good.
Good.
Okay.
That's it's considered management row. So right away, we start getting a kite. We get a little kite. They're like, hey, homie, I'm going to fish you this line, right? gonna fish you this line. And in YA, we were used to fishing, so we were used to it, you know. And he said, "Hey, I'm gonna bank it right into your side." I'm like, "Damn, this dude's like a professional." So he like literally like threw it was like a little line, and it literally like went in like under the door, real like it got stuck to the door because the bottom of our door is small. And on management, remember, everyone had their hands out the door on the bottom. The bottom cells are open; they're like bar cells. Our cells are cages. They got little holes. The whole thing.
Okay.
It's little. There's bars and then there's
little holes.
So
that's a door.
Yeah. So so that's how ours is. So when he was sliding his line, it like literally got stuck because it's so small. He said, "Yeah, pull it in. You got to like force it in." So we pulled it in, and he started like. Asking us where we were from, this and that. Put your details. If we our lockup order, they wanted our lockup order. What was it called? D14 or D? I forgot what you call it. I know the 115s are the write-ups, and the D4. I think the D114s are the lockup orders. I believe that's what they were. And so they're asking us for that and for our chrono, which I didn't even know what chronos were and why we don't use terminology called chronos, but they're like, yeah, and your lockup chrono, your lockup orders or whatever. So we're like, this is the only paper we have, you know what I mean? So we sent it over, and next thing I know, we're hearing code language, and we're like, oh shoot, like these fools are like, they're literally like relaying messages and codes, you know what I mean? And I told my bunk, I was like, dang, like we're not in YA no more. And then when we went down they took us down to the little dog cages. They took me and my monkey down to the little dog cages. And while we were down there was a homie that was right there. He said, we told him where we're from and stuff, told him, what was going on. And then after, he said, yeah, homies knew you were coming already. We already knew there was some YA babies coming or whatnot. And we're like, all right. Then after my bunkie mentioned, yeah, we're Christians. And he said, all right. He said, well, you'll get instructions anyway. So like whether you're Christian or not, it don't matter. You're going to be receiving some instructions. They're like, yeah, most likely, big homie ain't going to want you on the yard, but you'll receive instructions. So we're like, all right. So yeah, there was some people. Because they don't want you, this is what I'm assuming and this is what I'm thinking. They don't want you on the yard because you're not participating, so they don't want to involve you, basically. Yeah. So that's what he said. He said most likely, right? Come to find out, though, they did want us on the yard. You know what I mean? They were like, out of respect, you know what I mean? It will be good for you anyways to work out with us. So we were out there doing rutina with them and everything. They were like, it'll be good for you. Yeah, it'll be good for you to work out or whatnot. And they would slide us books and everything. And it was cool, though. I mean, I was playing handball like regular, you know what I mean? When they had their little, discussions, they asked us to just go play handball, like. That's good. That's good. I don't know anything about this, so And you know what, Negra? I mean, like I said, all glory to God for positioning us with the right people. Yes. You know what I'm saying? We're still just YA babies. We still don't know nothing about prison, but thank God that we were able to go there with some solid people to train us and teach us, I should say, before we got to prison. You know what I'm saying? And it always came back to like, you don't ever have to do anything unless it's in your heart. And I had always known that. You know what I'm saying? True. That comes with anything, though. Like, if that's not in your heart, you can't. It's not. It shouldn't even come out. Yeah, because something's not gonna be right. And I think just from our conversations, they kind of figured we knew right from wrong. Definitely. It was just the obvious. Same thing though. Same message from the older homies in there would tell us, yeah, when you get to prison, you guys are young bucks. You guys are YA babies. There are going to be homies that are going to try to use you. You know what I mean? Because you're YA babies, you know what I mean? Like there's a reputation that comes with you YA babies. And so, they just gave us a lot of schooling, and they told me pretty much just be observant, just, keep your eyes open, watch your back, and you already know, keep your mouth shut, try not to see anything, Facts. Just the basics. So we ended up staying there. They ended up dropping we never spoke to nobody. We never ever spoke to nobody about what was going on with that case. They ended up dismissing us, And from there, they put us on the main line in Chino, which was a whole nother story. That was a crazy little adventure.
Why?
In Central. Central is crazy. Because they mix everybody in reception.
Okay.
I mean, from level 4 to level 1s. I mean, everybody's there. Everybody's there together. And it was cool. We weren't there that long before we got endorsed. So my first endorsement from there, I got sent to Solano up north, up by Vacaville. And it was crazy though. Actually, no. Before I got there, I had went to San Quentin. That was my first endorsement from Palm Hall, San Quentin. And I remember when I got there, that was crazy because I've always heard of San Quentin from older homies getting out and hearing about riots and all this stuff. So here I am when we were first pulling in and you see it, it's like, wow. And I remember I was scared on the bus because it looked like the bus is going to fall in the water because it's like literally like the road is so small as it was driving in and you could see the water, like the cliff is right next to the bus. I was wondering, like, I wonder how many buses have actually went over that I don't know about, but I'm driving in and it was foggy and I'm like, this is crazy. So when we get there, this is my first encounter with Norteños and like really big time, Sureño, Norteño type of environment because when we got there, they separate right away. And when we got there, they start yelling from one section to another section, like Southside, like the cop was yelling out, like literally like waving over.
So the cops were saying this.
Yeah, and they were telling us, okay, you go in this cage, you go in that cage, blah, blah, blah. And they were telling... they didn't identify the Northerners if there was any on the cage or whatnot. They were just identifying Southerns. And so me and the other homies that were there were going over here. And then we went through there and it was kind of a quick process because they ended up really giving us all our stuff right there in R&R and then telling us that we were walking over to West Block. And when I got to West Block, that's when I looked up and seen 5 Tiers. It was like, wow. And it was so loud in there. I was like, this is crazy. So the reason why I was going to San Quentin first is because I had a documentation hearing already coming because remember, I had already did like my 5 years in YTS. And then like every 7 years or 6 years or something, they do what's called a documentation hearing on lifers, where you would go to the board, but it wasn't for release or it's just documentation.
Yeah, it's just to see what you're at mentally. That's what it's called.
It's called a doc hearing. And then they wanted me to go to a CAT-X program.
Which is what?
Which is a mental evaluation, like to see your psychological evaluation, while doing your life term or whatever. And the only places that they had it at that time was in San Quentin and in Vacaville. So I'm in San Quentin, right? Mm-hmm. And then the next thing I know is that I was there for not that long. I wasn't there that long when they told me that they had canceled the program.
Oh.
So when I went up north, when I went further, because from San Francisco you go further up into Solano, right? And from there, they told me that I was going to be doing a CAT-X program in Vacaville, which is a medical facility, but that's where they had it. And I was like, what the heck? What is Vacaville? And come to find out, that place is disgusting. It's a medical treatment. There's like no good people there. And I'm like, what am I doing coming here? So when I got there and they take me straight to the hole. And they told me, yeah, your endorsement, you're being reclassified. So I ended up being sent back all the way down to Donovan. And I was so thankful. I was like, man, I wanted to get back down because I stood in the hole probably for like probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks before they endorsed me down south. They endorsed me right back down south. They didn't even hit the yard. I was NADSEG the whole time. And I was like, I didn't even get to see like none of the craziness, you know what I mean?
Which was good.
You know what I mean? So from there, I ended up going down to Donovan. I was closed B at the time. I was still closed B. Closed B custody is when your program would end at 4:00.
Okay.
So while I was in Donovan, I was closed B. It was cool right there. A lot of other lifers, handball, do my program. And then from there, I was there for I want to say a year, when I went to my annual review, they endorsed me to New Corcoran. And then that's when I went up to New Corcoran, and I was there from 97, 98, 99. I was in New Corcoran from 97 to 2003.
Oh, okay.
That's where I ended up like really doing my stretch. And during this whole time, Negra, I'm just growing stronger and stronger in my faith. I'm helping people. I'm like started mentoring people. I became like a yard pastor, you know, in Corcoran, simply meaning that I was like the overseer, you know, like I'm the one that really preached the messages, and I'm the one that kind of like helped people. And all this time, you know, I was still real cool with all the homies. Like
they respected you.
I've always had favor with all the homies, and God allowed me to get close to like so many people, you know, out of all that time. And then my last 2 years before I paroled, they started a mentorship program on F-Yard, which was the drug program. And they were taking lifers over there to become certified drug and alcohol counselors. So when I go over there, it was a whole crazy yard. That yard was crazy. It was a trip. It was just a trip because it was a drug yard program. First of all, they were offering treatment and programming and a bunch of it was just crazy. And it was a good yard, okay? It was a good yard. It was a program yard. Homies were allowed to go there and program and do what they needed to do, you know, if they needed help or whatnot, you know what I mean? And especially for us lifers.
A lot of homies were getting drug programs in those years.
Yeah, a lot of them. I mean,
they're homies.
Yeah, there was
like 97, 98, 98.
Yeah. That's when they opened it.
Yeah.
So anyways, when I first got there on B yard though, F yard, G yard was no good. Okay. Nobody knew what was going on over there yet though. All they knew is that there was people over there programming it. Like everybody was getting along. They used to call it a hug at the yard. That's what it was called. And so back then, nobody was like, if you got sent to that yard, if you were endorsed to that yard, you had like 24 hours to get off that yard. Either you rush a northern, you rush a black, you do whatever you got to do to get off that yard, right? And then eventually, I forgot when, I think it was like probably like 2 years later, they were like, homies started going. I don't know who gave the okay or what happened, but somebody passed the word that it was okay to go. So there was a lot of solid homies that were leaving BR to over there. And but when I got there though, I was second guessing it, like, wait a minute, was one of the yards good, one of them not good, or what the heck's going on? And I was like, hell no, like, where am I at? What am I getting myself into? Like, hell no. And then one of the homies, he's passed now, the homie from, he was like a regular. He was a good homie and stuff. And he was laughing when he seen me. And I told him, hey, fool, like, what's up with this yard? And he started laughing. He said, let me guess. He seen, like, you know, some of the homies. I said, yeah, fool, like, what the heck? You know, that looked like straight. And I was like, hell no.
So what did you do?
So he was telling me that everything was cool. Yeah, everything was cool and everything. But still, though, I'm Christian. But at the same time, I was still like in right standings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I was still concerned about my name. I figured I was never going home. So I'm not trying to like,
you know, weirdo shit.
Twist up like my you know, reputation. At this point in time, I still have a good name. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what the heck? And then the more and more I got to the yard, I mean, I started seeing more and more homies coming. And even over there was like still LA cards, San Diego cards, whatever, you know, IE cards, and homies would do their thing. They were programmed, but still doing their thing. There was still homies like doing their drugs. Yeah. It was like over there, but
it wasn't a bad yard.
It wasn't a bad yard.
Okay.
Or no good yard.
It was a drug.
It was a drug premium yard.
Got it. Yes.
So meaning for 4 hours you would go to program, then after that you would have regular yard. It was regular.
Got it.
So anyways, I'm there, Negra. I'm there. They put me in college. They're paying for my college there. They have like a lot of other self-help stuff that you can do for board and everything. And let me just say that every time I went to board, I was so arrogant, so cocky. I would tell them, you're not prolonging nobody. You know, just send me back to the yard. Like every time I went to board, I was like, you ain't sending nobody home, so just get it over with and send me right back. Right? Mm-hmm. So I would go to board like that. And then in 2002, I went to the Board of Prison Terms, and I was very humble this time. And I went in there, and I was like, I'm just going to say what want to say whatever. So they're like, is there anything you want to add to the record as facts? You know, because everything from the police report is all considered facts, you know? And I said, there's nothing else to add. You know what I'm saying? You have all my chronos. You have all my recommendations. You've seen, you know, I've got my associate's arts degree. I've done numerous things. I'm a counselor here now. I'm doing this. You know, there's nothing else I could add to it. So they gave me a 1-year denial. Usually I get a 3-year denial, and now I got a 1-year denial. This was 2002. And in 2003, when I went back, at this time, my wife is running with me all this time. My wife is with me. And
she's down, huh?
Yeah, shout out to my wife, man. My wife's a great woman, man. Coming from the neighborhood stuff to where single mom. She ended up working 2 jobs. She got her first house when she was like, I think she was like 23 years old, got her first house. And she's an amazing woman, man. And,
So it's 2023. You go back.
No, not 2023. 03.
2003.
2003. Yes. It's 03. And I go back to board in March, and I go in there. But at this time, though, I brought her up again, though, only to say that my last visit with her, she was telling me that she was done. She was like, I love you, but I'm done. I can't do this. You know, they used to strip search her sometimes when she would come to visit. My son now is a teenager. He doesn't want to wake up at 4 a.m. to go see me. She said, I love you, but I can't do this no more. She said, you know, I'm not saying this because I want to move on or with the guy. I just can't do this part no more. I can't do it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I understand. You know what I'm saying? I completely understand. And when I went to board, I was like very humbled. Like, you know, just whatever happens, happens. And when I went in, same procedure as every other time I went in. But this time, and let me tell you this first though. My attorney wanted to postpone it for a year. They have like a representative that comes and sees you and represents you in your board hearing. So she tells me, she said, you know what? I think we should postpone it for a year. The commissioners you got this year, they're very biased towards gang-related, you know, incidents and whatnot. And I don't think they're going to be fair with you. Let's just wait another year, and hopefully next year we'll get. I said, no. We need to go today. I said, God's already spoken to me that we need to go today. And she was like, okay, you know, it's on you. You know, you're doing this against my advice.
Especially because it was always 3 years, and now it's just 1 year.
And this is a paid attorney. I mean, I know people always say, yeah, where your homeboys at now when you're like, my homeboys stood looking out for me. My homeboys got me. One specific homeboy that was doing good, he paid for my appellate lawyer. He paid for my my board lawyer.
Nice.
This lawyer. He got me a lawyer with my family. But yeah, you know, my homies always looked out for me. I could never, you know, whenever they tell me that, where are your homeboys? I said, man, they're on the streets looking out for me. You know what I mean? Doing what they do. But anyways, I had this paid lawyer, and I'm telling her, I said, let's just go for it. Let's do it. So we go in there. The hearing starts off as regular. The district attorney from LA County is on the phone, on speakerphone, and the board starts asking for her recommendation, or his recommendation. It was a guy. And all I heard him say, you know what? We feel that Mr. Godina is my last name, that he's done his time. He deserves a chance to go home. He's a modeled inmate. We believe he would be a positive influence on the youth in the community. And I'm listening to this, and I'm like, what? I think I'm dreaming. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? You know, every other time, the DA has always said, he's a menace to society. He's a predator. He disregards human life. He's, you know, he's uncontrollable in this environment. He's programming, but if you let him out of this environment, he will go right back to his antisocial ways. That's all I ever got from the DA. And now I hear this DA just like literally praising my character. And I'm sitting there like, just like, what the heck? So everything continues. They tell me to step out, which they normally do while they deliberate on their findings.
Yes.
They put me back in the cell. I'm waiting. It's early. I think I had my hearing like at 3:30. I think it was exactly at 3:30. And it was March 3rd. My wife is all into these numbers. March 3rd at 3:30. third shift, you know. She's like, all these threes, she's calculating it, right? She's like, say, in her mind, she's Christian by this time, and she's telling me it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, babe, it's the three. So she's, you know, so I'm like, okay, so that's how come I remember. It's 3:30. I'm in this hearing. I'm in this tank waiting to be called back in. Normally they call me right back in, like a couple of minutes later. It'll be like 10 minutes and they call me right back in and say, okay, denied another 3 years, right? This time it's hours, Negra, hours. And I'm like, what the heck? They brought me sack lunches. They were like, yeah, I know you're hungry here. They bring me a bunch of sack lunches. I'm grubbing. And the bailiff says, hey, I think it's going good for you in there. And I was like, why? Why do you say that? He said, because they've been in there chopping it. They haven't been. I thought they went to dinner, forgot about me and going to come back, right?
They were still talking.
They were still talking and stuff. And he said, yeah, they've been in there talking this whole time. I was like, are you serious? He said, yeah. And after the other CDC officer came and got me, he said, yo, come on, they're ready for you. So I go in and they tell me to keep standing. And they said, yeah, on behalf of the state of California and the governor, we find you suitable for parole at this time. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And they start reading off my parole plans. They start telling me, yeah, you will have a curfew from 11 o'clock till 6 a.m. You're not allowed to hang out with no gang members. Special circumstances are you can't go back to your city. They start telling me I can't possess any weapons, of course. They
normal. They tell you all the normal stuff.
Yeah, but I'm in board still. I'm in the board here. You know, I've never. And then they stamp it and they grant it, like in the movies. They stamp it approved and they tell me good luck. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the heck? So they give me the pink paper. It says parole granted. I go back and tell everybody and everybody's all excited in the building and they're tripping and they're like, are you going home today, tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know what all of this means. What I came to find out though is that the governor has 180 days to smash it, to disapprove it. So listen though. Greg Davis is in office at that time. In 2003, if you follow any politics, he was getting recalled at that time. And at that time, the Board of Prison Terms is also being dismantled, where they want to dismantle the whole prison board. So I had all this stuff going on, in the Board of Prison Terms and stuff. And I'm like thinking, what's this governor going to do? What's he going to say? So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. 100 days and I'm still waiting. And it's going. Remember, I went in March. Finally, August, what was it? August 14th? No. It was like the week of the month of August or early August. I get a letter from the board, from the governor's office. They call me up for legal mail. I get it. I'm like, oh shoot, what's he gonna say? So I open it and it says that at this time, because my crime was heinous and cruel and this and that he has to deny my parole.
Oh,
so I'm like, you know what? I already pictured it though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you were okay with it?
I'm okay, but there's always that little 1% in my head thinking what if?
Yes.
What if? So I'm on my way to college at this time, and I give the letter to one of my professors, and I tell her. She works for the program, Walden House. Shout out to Walden House. I mean, that's my family. I mean, I wish I could spend a whole another 2 hours talking about Walden House, what they've done in my life. But Walden House is a drug and alcohol behavior. It's a therapeutic community. Back then, it still fell under the old attack therapy. They were in your face, right? That's the kind of treatment it was. So anyways, this professor, this lady, her name's Sonia, she reads the letter and she says, hold up. She calls San Francisco, which is the headquarters. And the director up there, who's Vika, her name's Vika. She's like a mom to me, man. This lady is like an angel, right? She tells me, Jojo, we're going to fight the governor for you. We're going to fight the governor. And I'm like, what? Like, who am I? You know what I mean? For this to happen. So she forms a legal team and everything. And so what ends up happening is I'm given an embankment hearing. An embankment hearing takes place in Sacramento with all the commissioners, when I was there in board, there was 2 commissioners. Now there's 7 commissioners.
Wow.
I'm not allowed to go to that hearing. This is August 13th. August 13th, they call this hearing. My wife goes, my dad goes, people from that program goes, my wife's pastor goes. So I'm allowed character witnesses, but I can't be there. So they got to go. They have 5 minutes each to speak in front of all these commissioners. So what happens is they're in Sacramento. They go and they speak. They say their story. They say their little thing, and they tell them, okay, thank you for coming and supporting them. They don't tell them no verdict or anything. They can't tell them because I'm a lifer, right? They tell me in the program, they're telling me, hey, your son just took the stand. He's talking right now. Your wife just talked. They're telling me every time this happens. Yeah. Step. So San Francisco's communicating with the prison, telling me I'm out on the yard playing basketball, handball. I'm just doing my regular thing, right? So at the end of the day, they tell me, yeah, that's it. It's over. Like they're done. So that night, it's already recall. It's already yard recall. Mm-hmm. Night yard's done. It's already it's like almost 9:00 at nighttime. And they call me to the program office. They call my name over the speaker and say, yeah, you need to go to the program. I'm like, what? I ain't going to no program office. And I'm like, especially alone, that's where they start gathering information. Like people get stuck for going, to the program. Like that's the cops' headquarters, right? And so everybody's looking at me. I'm like, shoot, I don't know what they're calling me for. And I tell the cop at the door, I said, man, let me take somebody with me, man. You guys are setting me up, man.
Yes.
What do you calling me to the program office for? So I end up going. Who's there? My counselor, my CC1's there. He's a white dude. He's all red in the face. It's August, Corcoran. It's 105. He's sweating. He's all red. I'm looking at him like, what are you doing here? He said, you need to sign your parole plans right now. You're leaving in the morning. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what's going on here?
Wow.
He said, yeah, you're going home first thing in the morning. He said, yeah, where are you paroling? I said, I'm going to the Waldron House in downtown LA. It's on Hill Street. I give him the address. He said, do you know what parole office is? I said, I don't even know my way around. I just know that's where the program is. So he said, okay, I'm going to put to be decided or whatever, right?
Whatever yeah.
So I end up, I go back and I tell all the fellas, I said, hey, they're telling me I'm going home in the morning. They knew about the hearing. I tell them I'm going home in the morning, and everybody starts just tripping. They're already locked down in their cells, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's all excited. I'm in a 4-man cell. They throw a spread. We're like, we got a spread, fool. You're leaving in the morning. We got a spread. Like, let's do this and stuff. And so that night I was just tripping. You know what I mean? I gave all my stuff away just in case. I just kept my legal work and my pictures. And in the morning when they call everybody that's leaving, they don't call my name. So I'm like,
oh no.
They tell everybody else that's going to R&R, to pack their stuff. They're leaving, right? And here I am. I'm like, dang, I'm not leaving, So the program has what's called going away presentation, it's kind of like a completion program. Like you're going home, so they do it's kind of like this. You sit here and people come up and get to tell you good stuff like, man, you did a good job while you're here, whatever. So they throw one of them little things for me in the morning since I didn't leave yet. So in the middle of this ceremony and people telling me bye and good luck or whatnot, my name comes over the intercom to pack my stuff, to go to R&R. So, hey, Negra, from that point, it was like a movie. I go to my cell, I grab my stuff, everyone's giving me hugs. When I step out of my building, it's as if the whole yard lines up from my building to R&R, to the gate to go to R&R, and everybody's giving me hugs and telling me good luck. And I'm talking about there's homies, there's blacks, there's whites, there's northerns, there's the cops. Everybody's just and all. Everybody's like, dang, and even the warden had talked to me when the counselor, when I was in the program, telling me, good luck. You're the first lifer, so bear with us. There's a lot of red tape. How we're going to get you out of here. So that morning when they take me to R&R, I'm shocked, you know what I mean? And They give me my gate money. I'm thinking it's contraband. I'm like, I'm holding money.
Because this is 2003.
2003. You know what I mean? So
my son was like probably like not even a year old.
So here I am. I'm still thinking that they're going to psych me out, that they're not going to let me out. And they're telling people that are going to catch the train or the Greyhound to go in this other cell because they're going to be catching a van to get dropped off over there. They were like, anyone that's getting picked up, come in this other cell. So I'm in there by myself and I'm like, dang, like this, like I don't want to be alone. I want to be with them other dudes. So then they call me. They're like, come on, you're leaving. Your ride's here. And I'm like, what?
Your wife picked you up.
No, the program.
Oh, okay,
the program
okay.
picked me. Well, actually, program staff from the prison that worked there, they picked me up and took me to the Grapevine. My family met me at the Grapevine with another worker from downtown LA. So we all met there, had lunch, and then I told my wife and my dad, I'll see you when I see you. I'm going to the program.
You're free.
So I'm free. So that night I'm in downtown LA. I'm right there on Hill Street. I'm on Hill and Pico looking at the bright buildings, the bright lights. And I'm just like tripped out. Like,
wow.
Here I am. And from there, I ended up doing the program. I ended up staying there a little bit over 6 months in residential program. And you know what's a trip? My parole officer told me at my first visit, he said, you know what? Your wife has a house. You could go home. He said you could go home. And then when he looked at where my wife's house was, he's like, oh, shoot. He said, it's in your neighborhood, huh? And I said, yeah. He said, your parole conditions are you can't go back to your neighborhood. And at that time, that's when my neighborhood was slapped with the gang injunction. So he was like, yeah, you can't go back there, So I was like, shoot. So I told my wife, I'm just going to stay in the program until we could figure something out.
Because at least now you're able to see them, you're out. So, and you're thinking that way. You're not thinking like, oh, I gotta, you're just grateful.
Yeah. I was very grateful and grateful for the program. And by the time, right before I was able to complete the program, my wife closed escrow on another house out where I live now. We had a brand new house, brand new neighborhood, brand new start for me, for my wife, We had took my dad in because my mother had passed right before I got out in 2000.
Oh.
And my mom, that was my everything, Negra, my everything. And she developed cancer. She was a heavy smoker. She developed cancer and ended up passing away while I was in there.
Condolences.
Yeah, so we brought my dad to live with us. And so here I am, fresh home, and it's crazy though, because everybody would think that, life is going good. I was 6 months out, I'm home. During that time though, I'm with all the fellas still, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of like in a prison mindset, but not, you know what I'm saying? But when I say that is I'm around all these people that they're all on parole. Everyone there is on
everybody
parole.
there. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So when I go home though, now I have to be a dad. Now I have to be a husband.
And you don't know how.
Now I have to be a provider. Now, and my wife, she's cold because she literally like handed me the keys to like I'm the authority in the home now. You know what I mean? Like you need to discipline your son. Like when he's a teenager now, and whenever he would mouth out, she would look at me like, you need to check that. Like you need to discipline. And I don't know how. Even though I went through parenting and everything, I didn't
teach you.
I'm scared. I'm scared, Negra, because I'm barely building. Even though I had a relationship with my son, through visiting, through phone calls, through whatnot.
It's definitely not the same.
Here I am now. I'm in his presence, and I want to be the cool dad. And I want to be cool with them. You know what I'm saying? I'm still young, and I'm going to the park with them to play basketball. I'm hanging out. He's introducing me to his friends and stuff, and here my wife has me like disciplining them, and I don't know how to discipline, and I don't know how to argue with her. And we would get into arguments, and because, man, mad love for my wife for the handcuffs she put on me, because she didn't allow me to go anywhere. Anytime I would go somewhere by myself, where are you at? By this time, she had bought me a cell phone, and she's like, pick up your phone. Why don't you pick up your phone? I was like, I was playing basketball, blah, blah, blah. And she was always just nervous, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't even blame her for that.
She waited all them years, and she did time with me all them years, you know what I'm saying? And here I am free, and And things were going good. I got a job. I ended up working construction, and everything's doing good. You know, she gave me one of her cars, so I had a little Toyota Corolla. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing this construction thing, and I would say, you know, I started getting blessed beyond measures, you know? And at this time, Negra, I'm like speaking at a lot of churches and stuff, sharing my testimony. Because by the time I came home, you know, I didn't leave my Bible in R&R. I came home and was still doing what I was doing in there.
Which is great.
Yeah, I wasn't hiding behind no Bible. You know, the relationship I had with Jesus Christ in there, I brought home, and I continued with it, and I'm still there.
Yes.
You know, 30 years later, I'm still going strong, still preaching, still, you know, and it's crazy because I still go into prisons. I go into the prisons, and, you know, there's very few people that were there when I was there that I still see, you know. And of course, every yard is like crazy now and whatnot. So it's crazy. There's some yards that I get disapproved from for whatever. They don't tell me. They're like, no, you can't come to this yard or whatever. I don't know if a victim's there of mine or whatnot from back in the days or whatever.
I understand.
But it's so cool though. And I think that's one of the greatest part of my testimonies is just the longevity that, you know, I didn't walk away from what I was doing in there. And when I go back, the homies that see me, they're like, you still going to church? I'm like, of course I'm still going to church, you know?
That's right. Like, and, like you didn't do it just to not be in the mix. You did it because it was in your heart, and you didn't come out and became that same person that you were before. You came out the same person you came out.
Yeah. And when I changed my life, Negra, it was a process, definitely a process. But
it's not from one day to another.
When I had that moment though, it was as if like my desires did change, but I try to help everybody, and that's my ministry today. You know what I'm saying? Where I still try to help homies, and like I said, I'm never judgmental to where I am at today and where they're at. You know what I'm saying? Because I know the struggle. You know what I'm saying? And I know that, you know, this path isn't for everybody. And I tell homies from all over the place, from all kinds, like, I'm going to love you regardless of what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to love you, and I'm going to try to help you whichever way I can. But I have strong boundaries. That I do have. You know what I'm saying? Where they know this. They know there's things that I won't cross, you know, because of how hard I worked to get to where I got to. But being a drug and alcohol counselor, you know, for all them years, I was able to get numerous homies into program and get their lives, you know, on the right track, you know what I mean, and be able to reunite families and stuff, and God has just very much so. And even now I think I shared with you my online business, you know, which is called Trap Families. Anybody want to know? It's called trapfamilies.com. It's an online community of families of the incarcerated and the addicted. And what I do is I'm kind of like the mediator, trying to help families understand what their loved ones are going through. Because us doing time, I mean, we don't know the struggles of the family. No, you know what I mean? Having to work 2 jobs, you know, to get us that 40-pound package. You know what I mean? We don't understand how expensive gas is for them to travel back and forth, you know, all over, you know, not only California, but the United States. Yes. You know what I mean? Flying around and whatnot. So there's been so many times for the last 2 years. I mean, for the last 20 years, I almost said 2 years. 20 years I've been home, Negra. 20 years.
Congratulations. And
during them 20 years, you know, I've just dedicated myself to helping others. You know, I figured I did so much wrong in the past that, you know, I kind of feel my karma's on the good side now. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that if I was to die today, that there would be people able to say that I was a good man because of the good stuff that I've done.
Yes.
And not so much the bad stuff, you know? And like I said, you know, I'm able to talk to wives, mothers, fathers, and when they tell me, yeah, I'm done with him, you know, I'm not sending him no money. And you know, we burn our bridges, you know, over time. But my job and my goal is to keep families united, you know? It's kind of rough though, you know what I mean?
It is.
But I tell families, because sometimes I'll get that call, he called me cussing me out for nothing. I didn't even do anything to him. And I told him, you know what, listen, it probably has zero to do with you. He's going through something in there. He's feeling pressured about something, or something's happening where you're the only avenue in which he could vent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I said, give it time before you make some crazy decision to just cut him loose and go and do something dumb. You know, give him a minute. Let him call back next week. You know, write him a letter and tell him you didn't appreciate that. And sometimes I'll coach him in the letters, like, hey, write this to him. You know what I mean? Let him, like, kind of don't escalate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Like, don't add more fire to whatever it is he's going through in there. He's probably going through things that he will never share with you for you not to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's my job as a coach, to help these families. Nice. And that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. And me and my wife are going strong. That teenage son that I came home to, he's now he works in the ER as he's an EMT. He's in RN school right now. Nice. I have a 18-year-old daughter that's about to be 19. She's in college right now. Good. She wants to major in business. I have a junior in high school, and then I have my baby boy, which is he's in the 6th grade. And all my kids are doing good. I own, some houses. That's right. I got a lot of things going on, and all of it's, I didn't get here alone. You know what I'm saying? I got the program to thank. I got a lot of good people to thank that helped me get here. More than anything, it's my faith in Jesus Christ. So, I've been consistent with that. And, with that being said, I have to produce good fruit, And I never forgot where I came from, Negra. That's how come so many people know me, though, is because I'm in a lot of different neighborhoods trying to help whichever way I can. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not all that. I don't have, I'm not balling like that to help. But sometimes it's just knowing people, just connecting people with the right people, And there's been so many homies that I've been able to help, because of the position I'm in today. Good. And you know what's crazy, Negra? After I came home, the floodgates opened for lifers. And I remember parole officers and everybody used to tell me, not to put a lot of expectations on you, but there's a lot of eyes on you. You don't know how many people call us during the week to ask how you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like my parole officers and stuff. Oh, wow. Yeah, I had the gang unit come to my house at like 3 a.m. to check on me originally when I first came home, because I was on high control parole. I was a lifer that hey, and it was crazy when I came home. My parole officer, her first words to me were telling me, my job is to put you back, right? And after I said, oh, that's cool. You know what my job is, right? And she said, what? My job is to don't let you put me back in a prison. That's right, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, though, because through the Walden House, that's an all parolee program. So we work with parole. Got it. So I would end up sharing my story in a lot of parole orientations. I got real close to a lot of parole officers that it was crazy, because I'd be working and they would call me like, Jojo, and I was on parole. I was on high control parole when they were doing this. They're like, Jojo, can you come to my office and talk to this dude, because he wants me to lock him up, but I'm trying to convince him of a program. Can you convince him to come to a program? And I would go to the parole office in front of this dude that's all heated up, and I would end up saying, hey, bro, listen, right now, I'm sure she'll let you go with me if you're willing to go to a program. And luckily, nobody's ever jumped out of the car on me or anything. Oh, I was able to get them from there to the program. Yes. You know what I mean? I've had cops call me and tell me, Jojo, I have one of your homeboys in the back seat right now. If you meet me right here, I'm on the corner of such and such. If you could get him in the program, I'll let him out the back of the seat without even booking him. I was like, what? Just so you know, though, he's high as a kite right now. So I don't know if you want to take him to detox first or take him straight to the program. I said, where you at? And I literally went and took him out of the handcuffs and put him in my car. On parole. I was on parole when all of this was happening. Wow. That's intense. That's favor. That's all God positioning me in order to help others. You know what I'm saying? I understand and agree to what you're saying. And there's so much more to my story, which brings me to, Negra, if you don't mind. I don't mind. I co-authored a book called Reform. I don't know which camera could see it, whatnot. Both could see it. This one's just for you. Okay, but this book right here, I want to give it to you. This is the long version of my story, mainly starting in my teenage years. It's called Reformed, How a Life Sentence Became My Saving Grace. You can find it on Amazon by just simply typing my name in the search menu, Jojo Godinez. But I give this one to you, Negra.
Thank you so much.
This is for you. And just so you know about that book is in probably every state prison. So if anybody's watching me in prison, look around for it. It's probably there. It's in quite a few different federal prisons, and even out of the country. I have a site on Facebook that monitors like the sales of it and stuff. Nice. And there's people in Vietnam and all these other places.
Cool.
And I'm like, what the heck? It's like 27 different countries, and I'm like, that is crazy. I don't know who could relate to my story way out in Vietnam.
Hey,
somewhere.
we're all humans.
We're all humans, but that's pretty much my story. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just wanted you to know that, people can change.
That's
what I'm saying?
That's right.
And it is what it is.
It's for the people,
Yeah. And like I said, the transformation that took place for me, it happened in a simple prayer. It wasn't as if I was seeking change. It wasn't as if I was afraid. It was, it was just all God meant to be. You know what I'm saying? I could never see past them walls though for a long, long time.
And you just had a peace.
And I just had a peace within there. I was content in there, Negra, with, all the bad that I had did, what I was busted for, and, just the bad that I had did. I was like, you know what? I deserve to be here. I literally believed that. I mean, there was no hardness in my heart over me I wasn't blaming the system, this or that or anything. I was like, it is what it is. This was like kind of my destiny, in my neighborhood. That's all them kids that I told you about that I grew up with. All of us ended up in prison. A couple ended up dead. But here I am, 30 plus years later, married to the same wife.
Yes.
I added to my family through more kids, I own 2 different businesses, like
good for you.
God has just been really, really good to me. And, the main thing is that, I still believe I still have a lot of life in me to help many more people.
We're young still.
Yeah.
And we have platforms.
Speaking of that, next week, and I'll officially be launching my own podcast called Trap Family. So if anybody wants to go and subscribe, like and subscribe, there really ain't nothing on there yet, but it's there. There will be. And like I said, I'm going to be interviewing family members of the incarcerated and the addicted.
Nice.
So that's going to be the primary focus.
Good.
So that's my story.
Well, thank you, Jojo, for coming on Indicted, for sharing your story. Is there anything that you want to share that you haven't shared?
I just want to say, if anybody needs help, to reach out towards me, you can find me. I'm on Instagram at Trap Families, and send me those Instagrams through the, because we have something else. Okay. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's crazy because when we first communicated, you were under my business Instagram, which my son set that up, and I really didn't even have anything. And it's funny because I think the first message that ever went out to you, I believe it was my wife that got my phone, because that's my manager. That's my manager. She be doing things under my She be doing things behind my back. Next thing I know, somebody's calling me to go speak somewhere or whatnot. And it's crazy. Tomorrow, I'm actually speaking at a movie premiere. Paul Rodriguez coming out in it. Oh, nice. Noel G. I believe a couple of dudes from the Mayans episode.
The regular ones. The regular Latino ones that come out and all that. Yeah. So there's this movie called Sam's Cry about this guy. I think so Sam's Cry. So that's coming out tomorrow. And at the premiere, they're having a panel, and I'm one of the panelists. Oh, yeah.
So, sorry.
You're good.
I'm speaking here, and then, I got a lot of speaking engagements, but find it a real honor.
Hey, you're a great speaker.
I find it a real honor to be here with you,
thank
Negra.
you. Thank you.
When I first came across your podcast, everybody was telling me, look at this one. And I was like, all right. And when I seen your Get Down, I was like, man, that looks so kicked back. It looks so cool. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. And I felt that. Thank you for making me feel comfortable.
No, I mean, that's all we could do. I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's all about you while you're sitting here.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, trust me, I could go on and on and on, but
no, I know. I noticed that. I noticed that.
That's my story. You know what I mean? I hope I didn't take up too much time. I get carried away sometimes. That's why when people tell me, that's why I usually tell people, man, how much time I got to speak? Because then they'll say, you got 45 minutes. So I set an alarm for like 40 minutes. Yeah, even in churches, you know, you go over the limit in church, they don't invite you back.
No, not at all. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on Indicted TV.
Thank you.
You guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram.